A new episode of Real Ranked is going live right now. Hello and welcome back to another episode of Real Ranked. Today we'll be talking about the Coen Brothers with the release of The Tragedy of Macbeth. So I'm going to go ahead and bring in our panelists today, starting with Cameron Patterson.
Hello, cheers. Got my apple cider here, wink.
We got Caleb Boatman. Caleb Coho.
I'm not smart enough for Purdue.
And Kason Johnson.
I don't have a white Russian, but I do have a white claw.
Get him out of here. Get him out. That's
kidding. It's an empty can. So
all right. So yes, I'm more Coen Brothers experts here.
Everyone else here. Except me.
And
I like to think I'm an expert, but that's just the ego talking.
All right. So yeah, we're gonna do a tier list format for the
Lovely
filmography. So
sweet.
We can go ahead and get started with Blood Simple. And Cameron, go ahead and have you seen this movie?
I have, yeah. I saw it last night actually for the first time. And I'm kind of blown away that this is their first film. I think it's absolutely incredible. The filmmaking, it's a very, I guess you could say it's a simple movie, kind of like the title suggests, but the filmmaking here is top of its craft. There's a lot of cool filmmaking techniques going on, and use of color and shadows are just really awesome and really cool to look at. And it's a really tight story that has lots of interesting twists and turns. I just think it's really well done. And it may be the recency bias talking here, but I just really enjoyed it. And I thought all the performances were good too.
Mm-hmm. Boatman?
Yeah, this is them like going full on Hitchcock. Like there are so many great like neo-noir sequences in this movie that I really like. I dig Emmett Walsh in this movie as the private detective. He's having a lot of fun giving like a very schlubby performance, and I like that a lot. McDormand obviously is one of the greatest actresses of all time, and she's great here, even though she gets much more to do in later movies. This is like a great star-turning turn for her. And like, yeah, this is a solid, like, simple plan gone wrong mystery, which like the Coen Brothers are great at. It is the trope they use all the time because they're experts at it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Coho.
Yeah, this is indie budget filmmaking at its finest. I think they use techniques to disguise the lack of money they have behind it. The story of how they financed it's actually really cool. And how long it actually took them to make this movie and the help they got from Sam Raimi. I think Blood Simple is a good movie. It's a very good starter Coen Brother movie. I think their like style and their tone and the whole sort of approach to filmmaking that they kind of hone in later is not necessarily totally seen apparently in this movie. And I think that comes in the next one where they sort of find their niche and run with it. But I think Blood Simple is like a really solid first film.
And Payson?
No, yeah. When I think of Blood Simple, I've seen it a couple times, and when I think of it, I'm just like, dang, this was their first film. Like right out of like helping Sam Raimi with like editing stuff, they immediately went on to this. Bowman stole what I was going to say. Emmett Walsh is hands down my favorite part of the movie. He's like the one having like, or definitely like the most fun. And I think that character is kind of like an archetype that they would use for a lot of their characters down the road. It literally is them doing like straight noir. I know the Coens are probably famous as well for their they're famous as well for their dark comedy. There's a little bit of that, but there's not too much. I think one thing that I think puts this movie over is a strong finale always helps. And damn, the finale to this movie is so good with like the sniper from the opposite hotel room. Not to spoil anything, but then when Emmett Walsh gets into Francis McDormand's room, it's really great. And oh, what's this over here? What's this over here? Oh yeah, I do in fact own this one on Criterion. I'm just gonna put that away.
I didn't know it had Criterion.
Hasten is Criterion.
That is
I gotta get that one.
But yeah, I have an opinion on where this could be. Should I shout this out or?
Yeah, go for it.
I think this is a strong B tier.
Okay.
For other directors, I think it would be an A tier, but I think for the Coens, I think it's a strong B tier. It's above average. It's one I like to watch, but I do think there is better stuff later on.
Yeah, I actually got to back Payson up on this one. I think this is on the lower end of their filmography for me. Not because there's anything wrong with it. I've seen it twice. I liked it better on the rewatch, but I think that this is the problem with picking directors who are so good at what they do, is that they're like, they make things that are just like, this is good, and it ranks towards the bottom. We'd be doing the same thing with like Scorsese if we did that list. So I would put Blood Simple in the B tier.
Yeah,
also, to Dan Hedaya, I forgot to mention it. I think he's my favorite performance in the movie.
He is great. Yeah, I'm with both of them. I think this is kind of the perfect like default B spot that we can kind of judge every other movie up against, because it's like not their top tier stuff, but like it's still a totally solid film.
Mm-hmm. I would put this a little higher than average personally, and I know it's already getting outvoted, but it is such a simple story, but it's done so well. And like you said, with such limited resources, they're able to pull off so many things. And it doesn't really look like a budget movie to me. And there's just so many striking images and things that stick in my mind that make me want to put it higher. But yeah, I mean, it's so hard with their filmography. They have so many great stuff. So I'd personally put it at A, maybe high A. But I understand the B.
Yeah, no, I mean, this is a great debut, and it's just very thrilling, and it's on the lower end of the Coen Brothers for me, but I would also just put it in B. I think it's a great film.
Okay, so Cameron, would you like to fight on B or okay? Yep, let's
yeah, I believe that's a 4-1 majority.
Yeah, I can't fight that one.
He's gonna 12 Angry Man it. He's gonna get the 11 to turn.
There's reasonable doubt.
Look, there's only one I'm gonna be like.
You're gonna be alone on that island.
I'm not gonna waste my energy.
Don't worry, there's gonna be an island that I'm also alone on, but like we'll get there.
Yep.
All right, let's move on to Raising Arizona. Boatman, why don't we start with you for this?
Yeah, I love this one. This is an excellent film. Nicolas Cage is just giving like a hilarious comedic performance in this. I'm glad like Nicolas Cage is getting back into like doing comedy performances because he's actually really good at it. But Holly Hunter, man, you want to talk about great years, people? Holly Hunter, 87. This and Broadcast News, same year. Incredible. She is so funny in this. John Goodman is great in this movie. And this is just a very absurd movie. And I think it has one of, if not the greatest chase sequence in a movie when High goes to get the diapers, and then you got the cops chasing after him. Oh, the kid from the convenience store is shooting at him, and you got the dogs chasing after him, and the guy from the grocery store takes out a rifle. Like it just keeps building, and it goes insane, and I love it. And I'll take the Huggies and whatever cash.
Yeah, it's so good.
Albert's in the live chat saying this is a weird.
Hey, Albert, what's up, buddy?
Albert.
Albert's just jealous.
Love that man. I'll say this for Raising Arizona. I think this is, to me, where the Coen Brothers become the Coen Brothers. This is where they find their style. This is where they find that tone, and all their weird sensibilities in film. I think they like perfect their characters and finding their way into those weird, outlandish situations, but finding a way to make it super entertaining. I think Nicolas Cage is really, really good in this. I would probably put this in his top 3 for performances of his entire career. I think he's outstanding as high. I think Holland Hunter's really good as well. But I really like Frances McDormand in her little bit. Like, I think she's really great in this one too. Actually, might be better than she is in Blood Simple in this one little bit, which just shows how good she is and how good like she works with her brother and with her brother-in-law and her husband in film. I think they just really understand how to like get the best out of her. But yeah, I would say Raising Arizona is just like the true debut of the Coens for me.
This movie is so funny. This movie is so flipping funny. Are we allowed to swear on here?
Yeah, you're good.
This movie is so fucking funny. Like Koho said, this is absolutely where the Coens like got their style, got their weird sense of humor. It is like a total like farce of this like area in America, but it's just so much fun just to watch these characters like interact. If you go to my Letterboxd profile, since I started, my profile description literally says my name is H.I. McDonough. Call me Hi, in reference to this movie. I love it. John Goodman and William Forsythe are incredible. This is the first time they collaborated with John Goodman, as they would go on to make even more great films. That chase scene is incredible. Just the whole idea that it revolves around this couple that just, they want to have a kid, so they're going to steal a baby. And, like, it's such an awful thing to do, but you want them to succeed. Like, you want the best for these two people. And then, like, by the end, it sort of, like, makes you wonder, like, man, are they going to stay together? Are they not? And just that last line that what's the main Arizona's name? Nathan Arizona, when he said, look, if you went through all of this and you guys are still willing to love each other, I think that should show that you guys are meant to be. But yeah, I love this movie so much.
I think this movie is great. I think it's just so funny, and really like Coens really find have their distinct style here, and it's just pacing you had brought up Goodman and Forsythe, and I think they're just a hilarious duo together. Cage is at his best. Holly Hunter is excellent, and then the score is also just so unique, but also hilarious. It works so well in this movie, and there's just like
Great
this
Carter Burwell score.
Yeah.
Just as the chase is going on, you just hear that yodeling going on. It's perfect. It's so perfect.
Mm-hmm.
It's aside from maybe Logan Lucky, like maybe one of the best usages of like exploitation that you can find on film, and I really love that.
Yeah, definitely. I also think this movie's just batshit. It's hilarious that they went from Blood Simple to this. It's like just so different. And I think that's just a testament to how creative these guys are, and they have all these really fun ideas. And this movie is just an exercise on just being wild and extremely innovative and creative, and you can just tell that they're having a bunch of fun making this. And as we've been saying, Nicolas Cage and Holly Hunter are great. I think they have great chemistry and play off each other really well. And just the whole ensemble is fantastic. And there's some hilarious scenarios that they can get into here. I think personally I like Blood Simple more, and I know that may sound insane, but I think it suits my style, my taste a little bit better right now. But it's just as well made as Blood Simple, and it does really show their craft, like everyone's been saying. I think this movie is a good comparison with the Coen Brothers as Magnolia is to Paul Thomas Anderson, where that's an earlier film of his where he just throws everything at the wall, and you like see his style in full force there and really know what he's about. So I think it's a good comparison there. It is really good.
I was promised no PTA dialogue on this show, especially that crap pile Magnolia.
Hey, that might be all I have.
Magnolia is great.
Magnolia is great.
He's one of my top 10 of all time.
I'm so, this is suddenly no longer a safe space. Magnolia's terrible.
Nowhere safe. You can't hide.
I would probably put Raising. I think Raising Arizona is definitely better than Blood Simple. To me, I think it speaks more to the Coen Brothers as directors, that their second outing is more true to who they are. It feels more like the first movie was so that we could get our license to be filmmakers and then make Raising Arizona, which then sets up who we actually are as filmmakers. And so I'd probably still put it on B tier, but like above Blood. Like I put it above Blood Simple on the B tier, but it's like in that spot where it's like not quite an A for me, but I think it's definitely better than the first one.
This is A tier. This is not only is this A tier for me, this is high A tier, pushing S. I just think this movie is so funny, and I just think them immediately grasping their style, I think that's what makes me love it. So I think this is definitely like A tier pushing S tier. I made a limit for myself because I love them so much. I'm only giving out 5 S tiers, but yeah, so like this is like the best Coen Brothers film that is not an S tier for me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is so great, and I have a lot of fun with it. I think it's a good A tier as well.
See, I'm sad because I was going to try to get this an S because I love this one. I think this movie is brilliant, but I'll take it. I'll take A.
Okay, I almost got excited. I thought you were gonna say you'd put Blood Simple above it, but no, I had a false idea.
Yeah, I think we will put this in A then.
Yeah, I think that's 3 A's. Yeah, I think that's 3 A's and 2 B's. So
Unless Cameron was like D. But yeah.
No. This is a really good movie. I just put it like maybe right behind Blood Simple, but it's close. So yeah, completely blown out of the water there.
All right. Before we move on, John's in the live chat.
Hey,
Oh hey, who's that?
hey, it's John.
And Holtzman's.
Hey, Holtzman. Whole gang's in the chat.
Kingsman, let's go.
Oh, here's where Paces starts fighting for an S tier.
Oh, yes.
This is his first S tier, I can guarantee.
Well, all right. Well, let's start with Miller's Crossing then. Coho, why don't you start off?
Sure. Miller's Crossing is a movie I was incredibly wrong about the first time I watched it. I watched it the first time and thought it was bottom 3 Coen. Really didn't like it. Was like, this is fine. And I don't know what I was feeling that day that I just decided to beat the movie up for it. But I watched it again on my last Coen's watch going into Macbeth, and I really liked this one. I really liked their attempt at making a gangster movie, which is like this is like really their only shot at making a gangster film, and it is very, very, very Coen's, but also it feels like an otherworldly gangster film in a way where it's not necessarily of our own gangster period, where it's just like it takes the things we recognize in like a classic sort of gangster film of like up there the Irish and like all that stuff, but it's just a little bit removed from reason, which is the thing that I like the most about it. I think John Turturro is incredible in this one. Gabriel Byrne is not going to get enough credit for leading this ensemble. I think this is John Polito's best performance of his career. I think he's terrific in this. And then obviously everyone's like, oh yeah, Albert Finney is great, but I would probably lean Polito and Turturro. But yeah, this is a great movie. One that went way up on the ranking for me. The fact that this was not Oscar nominated for any technical awards whatsoever is atrocious, considering this is the last one that Barry Sonnenfeld shot, and it's the best job he's done as a cinematographer in his career. And on top of that, great production design, great costume design across the board. Like the first 3 Coen films being absolutely Oscarless is baffling when you look at the performances that are in them. On top of that, on the technical level that like the original Coen brother crew has. And then when we get to the next one, you'll see like they finally crack it with like Lerner and Deakins and all that. But I think Miller's Crossing marks like an end of the early Coen's period where they are finally figured out who they are and they're comfortable in what they want to make and who they are. And I think Miller's Crossing is like a celebration of that first 3 film run of like, we are the Coen brothers, hear us roar.
Yeah. Pacey?
I adore this film. This is a straight fucking masterpiece. Like, I think the Coens doing a period gangster film almost seems just like, it's weird that they never really went back to this. This is their first time doing a movie that is not set in the present day, and I think that really helps the movie, and I think most of their best movies are not set in present day, so I think this is like a good like purveyor of their career. I think Turturro is so good at playing a slime ball. Like, every time he's on screen, I want to punch him, but he always keeps getting like the slight edge until the end when he finally gets taken out by Gabriel Byrne. The character of Tom is one that I've never really gotten like a grasp on, and I'm kind of like okay with that. Like, he just seems to be a guy that's just like, he's just kind of trying to float by, but he keeps finding himself in like these different like circumstances, which is honestly like another Coen Brothers movie, but we'll get to that later. Like Coho said, the cinematography by Sonnenfeld is incredible. The score, this may be my favorite Coen Brothers score. Like, I loved it so much. I stand by that. I know that's a claim. It is my personal favorite.
Can't back you up on this being Carter Burwell's best Coen score.
I got to be honest. A couple others come close, but this is definitely my personal favorite. Polito, I think, is incredible. Like, it's such a funny character he plays. If I were to count down like my top 5 favorite Coen Brothers scenes, the Danny Boy like raid on Leo's house, I think, is definitely up there. And just the feeling of this movie, like the dialogue, just feels so like conversational, and like it just puts me in like a calming mood to watch this one. So yeah, I absolutely adore Miller's Crossing. And speaking of me being the Criterion shill, it comes out on Criterion tomorrow, and I will be buying that.
A lot of things come out.
Nice.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think Miller's Crossing is a great movie. I really enjoyed it. I watched it for the first time a few days ago, and just like a noir film directed by Coen Brothers just works so well with their direction. Just like the ensemble of characters is excellent. The snappy dialogue and like the story is just very, very gripping. And yeah, there's a really great atmosphere surrounding it, and I feel like this is a movie that I'll definitely want to watch again just to like get a better grasp on the story, because like it can get confusing at times with like the noir aspect, but yeah, I really enjoyed this one.
Yeah, I haven't seen these next 3 single tier, so I'll take a pass.
Yeah, Miller's Crossing is just like a super fun movie if you love that kind of exaggerated 1920s style, which I do. So this is like, what's the rumpus? Like that's just great. That's just great, like dialogue, and I love the way all these characters talk, and I love the way Tom Reagan is just playing everybody. Like that is my favorite thing, is how he is just kind of conning everybody. And Sean Turturro in this movie. Sean Turturro is like insane in this movie. I think he's given an incredible performance. He's just whacked out of his mind in this, and he's great. Everything else they said, excellent film.
Which is really funny, just to backtrack for a second, is typically how it works. I my whole film world is revolved around Oscars. I'm obsessed with it, and it might be the season. But it's really weird. Generally, there's the performance that gets you recognized. It's not quite the one that would get you nominated, but it's the one that gets people to look out for your next one, and you get nominated for your next performance. It's baffling to me that Turturro, 1, hasn't been nominated for an Oscar, but 2, that this wasn't the one that set him up to be nominated next year for Barton Fink in Best Actor.
Oh, wow.
Like that genuinely, that's like the buildup of like, oh, he was in Do the Right Thing. Oh, now he's in Miller's Crossing. He's giving great performances in all of it. And now he has like a leading man role.
Picture,
and there's no nomination for him on Oscar morning. Is insanity to me still. But also, shouts out to the first appearance of Steve Buscemi in the Coen Brothers.
Yeah,
Oh,
he's great in this one scene. And Marsha Gay Harden. I don't think we talked about Marsha Gay Harden.
She's great.
She's great in this movie.
She's great.
Marsha Gay Harden's incredible.
yeah, she is.
Oscar winner Marsha Gay Harden.
Do you want to tier it first, Koho?
Yeah, I put this in A. I know you're gonna fight for S. I'm okay with I understand S. I'm doing the same thing where I'm only putting like 5 in the S tier. And this is probably the closest one for me to S from A. I really like this one. I would probably put it as a high A. I would put it over Raising Arizona. But it's high A.
Fair. Yeah, this is absolutely an S tier. This Koho called it. It is my first S tier. It's in my top 5 Coens. It's, to me, their first like true unabashed masterpiece. I've seen this one multiple times, and I will see it multiple times after. I absolutely love it. So S.
Yeah, did you have more to say?
No, I was just saying S is my final vote.
Okay. This one I would put in A, but it's still a great movie. If we had to put it in S, I wouldn't mind, honestly. But yeah, it's an A tier.
Why did you show us the calculator?
Oh, I'm tallying everything up to be fair as to where it's placed.
Oh yeah, Cameron hasn't seen these. So yeah, I would say A. I think this is solid. Not better than Raising Arizona. Sorry, Casey, but yeah, this is A. This is like really great. Not quite like the up echelon of Coen Brothers stuff.
Yep, 9.25. So it's an A.
All right.
You don't get to make that judgment.
That's fair.
This is a wild joke.
Do
This is a
we
little wild
put
bet
it
he's gonna
above
do.
or below Raising Arizona?
I would vote above Raising Arizona.
If we're already doing this, I would definitely vote above. But
I'll back paste up on being above Raising Arizona.
Okay. I think
Looks
we
like it's
can.
where
I
it's
think that's
going.
okay. I think.
Okay.
No, I'm sad.
I'm sorry, buddy.
They're literally right next to each other in my rankings, but if that makes you feel better.
That's fair.
Now here we go, boys. This is my first S tier.
Fair.
I'll lay the cards down on the table on that one. Barton fucking Fink.
Do I start this one?
Yeah, Payson, go ahead and start.
It's very funny that Koho talked about that Miller's Crossing was one that he originally was not very big on, and then he watched again and he was like, oh, this is actually really good. This was kind of this way for me. I think the Coen Brothers have a lot of movies that reward certain rewatches, and this is definitely one. When I first saw it, I was like, okay, this guy just kind of has a lot of anxiety, whatever. And then as I got older, I was like, oh shit, that's life. Just watching this artist trying to find a way to get to the subtext of what he's creating, but never being able to find it because he can't put himself in the shoes of the everyman, I think is so perfect. Like both said, John Turturro is excellent in this movie as just this total neurotic guy that's just trying to find meaning. John Goodman as Charlie Adler. This is my favorite John Goodman performance in any single Coen Brothers movie. And I just love how, even when he first shows up, there's that slight tinge of creepiness, but he's so nice that you want to like him. And then slowly as the movie starts going, you begin to realize more. There's this wonderful gif from this movie that I always use where it's him pulling the bars and it's his face just going and which is always very, very funny. This is the first one that Deacon shot, and I think it's a beautifully shot movie. There are so many analysis and metaphors you can come up with this movie, and I'd be lying if I said I understood all of them, but I do think this is definitely a movie that, while I don't quite understand it, I get that the Coens probably understand it, and I'm okay with that, and that's why I personally love it. Yeah, this is definitely peak dark comedy for them, and this one is excellent.
Yeah, no, I love this movie. Just watched it for the first time as well, and just was expecting it to kind of be the satire on Hollywood, and that is not what I got out of it. When I came at the end, it's just
that comes later. That one comes later.
Yeah, and it's just there's a turning point in the movie where I kind of realized what this movie turned into, and then just that from there on, it's just I loved everything about it. And yeah, John Turturro's great. John Goodman, I agree with Payson. I think this is his best Coen Brothers performance as well. I just feel like, and everything you said about his character, I think I agree with, and just there's a ton of metaphors, but I definitely don't understand, and I'll have to watch it again. But yeah, I think this is one of my favorites from their filmography.
Boatman, it's all yours.
Barton Fink is. I kind of had a similar reaction to it as Payson, where like first time I thought I was like, this is good, and second watch is where the movie really hits, because you kind of realize that Barton Fink is just kind of a pretentious douchebag, and I think that's really like that's the thing. First watch is kind of like you like see, okay, hero, like he's the guy in the title, and then you just kind of know this is a dude who like wants to speak for quote unquote the common man, and then spends like the whole movie shitting on anyone who could be considered like the common man. So he's really just like a hypocritical douche, and it's great. And we talked about John Goodman, who's giving an incredible supporting actor performance. In fact, he's never been nominated for an Oscar.
That's also bad.
Oh wow!
But the performance that was nominated for this, I stand by, is a great performance. Michael Lerner in this movie is so good. Like he's hilarious and getting a lot of like the Spitfire one-liner and Coen's jokes out there, and he's great. Coen Brothers are great at doing fast-talking characters, and this I love Michael Lerner in this.
Is Michael Lerner Cody Newberry?
Hey, we're not on.
We're not on that channel. They don't understand that. So Barton Fink is a movie that I really have loved since the first watch, and I love it more every time I delve into it. It's a movie that is born out of writer's block on Miller's Crossing. While they were working on Miller's Crossing and had writer's block about Miller's Crossing, they would switch to writing this movie that they just wrote stream of consciously, and then would come back and reform. And Barton, and you can kind of see that in the setting, in the production design of the two, that they are born out of similar time periods of films that they're writing. But I think what Barton Fink has that's different from Miller's Crossing is it has the singular focus of a lead that is the movie. Barton Fink is the one that owns his own movie. I don't think any of the supporting performances overtake Turturro as the best performance in the movie, whereas I don't think Gabriel Byrne's the best performance in Miller's Crossing. I think Barton Fink is a movie where you can draw a lot of parallels to the Coen's own career at that time. This is the movie where they really have a budget. This is the movie where they have they have Godger Deakins shooting their movie. Like, The Man is finally here. You have Burwell back for like the first like score that he has that is like doesn't feel like he's a scrappy up and coming composer. It feels like I'm Carter Burwell and I know who I am. It feels like everything about the Coen's collaborators are all firing on all cylinders. Buscemi gets to come back in another small part with Chet. And my two favorite things about this movie is the thing that I think the Coen brothers do better than any other writers or directors is repetition and how that affects the tone, how that affects the mood of a scene, and also how that affects just the characters of a scene and what that tells you, how they repeat certain things. I don't think this movie is the best at it. I think that comes about 2 or 3 movies later. But I think this one is the first one where they really introduce repetition, especially in the scene where they introduce Chet. And he says, "Hi, I'm Chet." It goes off on his spiel. He goes, "And if you need anything, just call me. I'm Chet." And he says it again, and it's just off-putting because no one talks like that. And it just sets this tone. Bowman has said it before. This is their take on The Shining. This is the closest I think we'll ever get to a Coen Brothers horror movie in a way, where it's just this guy devolving into madness out of writer's block. And I think one of the other great scenes, Boat talked about it, where he talks about shitting on the common man, is literally the scene where John Goodman sits there. He's like, "Well, I could tell you stories." "Well, I bet you could," and just keeps talking over him and running over him and going on about his plight. And John Goodman's trying to give him ideas, and he just won't listen because he's not actually interested. All the way through, I think Tony Shalhoub does not get enough credit for this performance either. I think Tony Shalhoub might be one of the most underrated actors in the Coen Brothers like canon. Every time he comes into one of their movies, he just slugs a home run. I think he's incredible in the supporting cast all the way through. I don't remember the guy who plays the old drunk author, but he's fantastic.
That's John Mahoney.
I think you're right, John Mahoney. I think that everything in this movie is firing on all cylinders. I think this is I think while Miller's Crossing marks the end of where the scrappy up and coming Coen brothers, I think this marks the beginning of we are the Coen brothers. We're going to win a billion Oscars and be just the weirdest filmmakers you've ever seen and not give a fuck. I think Barton Fink is the movie that now that Miller's Crossing has defined that they're we know who we are, and now that we've established it, Barton Fink is them making their first movie where they show it. This is their first really polished movie to me. I think the other three are all got a little bit of a indie filmmaker scrappiness to it. I think Barton Fink's the first one where down to I think it got nominated for production design for a reason. I think the production design is beautiful. I think the movie is shot great by Deakins. I think that everything about this movie is so polished in terms of just how it's done, not in terms of cleanliness, because this movie is really grungy and it's really dirty because of the setting of where they're at with that hotel, and you feel it. You feel the heat when he's just sweating in his room. You feel all of it. It's a movie where you feel what you're seeing. I think Barton Fink's an incredible movie and is the beginning of the second era of Coen Brothers to me. I think there are 3 eras of Coen Brothers. Barton Fink kicks off the second.
Yeah.
Without having to say it, I say yes. Sorry, I definitely say yes.
Hey.
Yeah, I would also personally go A. Everything that everyone has said so far rings true. I love this movie. I just love. I just unfortunately love others more, but yeah, this is a strong. For any other director, this would probably be an S, but I got to limit myself a little, and so that's why I'm saying A.
This is an S for me as well.
Yes, yes, Matthew.
So we're tied.
Yeah,
We're tied at 55.
I'm willing to ring in the edge of positivity.
So is that you switching your vote to S without having to give up one of your S's?
No, I'm just.
No. I'm saying it wouldn't count as one of your S's, but you're willing to count it for an S.
Bo, how do you feel?
No one gave me an S on Raising Arizona.
You were one of 4 on Raising Arizona.
I don't care.
Well, move Raising Arizona above Miller's Crossing.
I'll give you Raising Arizona over Miller's Crossing for an S right now.
You know what? Yeah, I'll do that.
Deal. I'll move Raising Arizona over Miller's Crossing for an S on Barton Fink.
I don't have some weird limit on S tiers. So.
I'm gonna say, okay, yep, that's fair.
Okay, I will update this.
Because to me, that doesn't hurt me. That's switching my 7 and my 8 around on my list. I'm okay.
Sure.
So, but Barton Fink's a top 5 Coen Brother movie for me. I think it is actually my 5 on Coen Brothers, but I adore Barton Fink. So,
okay. Spence said he's waiting for us to get to the most underrated Coen Brothers film.
Spence is about to be happy because I think we've reached their most underrated. I think they like this next one, and I don't really get why.
Okay. John in the live chat.
Yeah, John, you know me. You've seen me. I got you on the Kings for nothing. I'm gonna make you a champ, buddy.
But boat sweeped in. But fair.
John, you saw my off season at Multiplex. I got pacing. I got money moves. Boom.
All right. Well, let's move on to the Hudsucker Proxy then, and I'll start us off by saying I don't hate this one. I think it's a fun watch, but I do think it's on the weaker end of the Coen Brothers filmography because it's their version of a screwball comedy, and Jason Lee, especially the way she talks and all that is very, very screwball paced. It's like Katharine Hepburn and Bring a Baby and just like that style. And then so yeah, I really liked her performance. I think she was a lot of fun. I think Deakins makes it look great, and just I'm not a big fan of the ending. I feel like the suspension of disbelief there, it really threw me off a little bit. So that kind of brought it down, but I still had a fun time. So Boatman.
Yeah, this is kind of a weird mixing of multiple different styles, right? Because this movie was originally supposed to be directed by Sam Raimi.
Yeah.
And then the Coens took it over. So you've got Sam Raimi in there. And this movie feels like a weird mix of if you combined
Frank Capra,
Brazil and Frank Capra. like if basically you had kind of the in your face like cinematography of Terry Gilliam, right? With like the sentimentality of Coen Brothers doing Capra, which is just it's a blending of 4 different styles essentially, and that just doesn't work. But like there are some genuinely great things in here. Bruce Campbell's a lot of fun in this movie. Paul Newman is really good in this movie. Like you mentioned her, Jennifer Jason Leigh is absolutely incredible in this. She is so comfortable in like a Frank Capra style role. Like she's kind of doing like a Jean Arthur style. Also a little bit Rosalind Russell and His Girl Friday. Like it's very much like that type of role, and she's just so comfortable in this. I want her like to do like more of these types of roles because she's really good here. I think the big problem with this movie, though, is Tim Robbins. Tim Robbins, I do not buy as like a naive good guy, right? I buy Tim Robbins as a sleazeball. I don't really buy him as this kind of naive guy with a heart of gold. I stand by it. This movie gets like 20% better if instead of Tim Robbins, you cast Tom Hanks. I would
agree.
buy Tom Hanks in this type of role, especially if you're kind of going for like a Capra style. Why not get the next Jimmy Stewart of having Tom Hanks do it, right? Like, I think that would be so much more perfect.
Yeah, Boat and I are pretty much in lockstep on this one. I think I watched this one of the Coen Brothers watch, messaged Boat and went, the fact that we never got a 90s Superman movie with Tom Hanks and Jennifer Jason Leigh as Lois and Clark is baffling because I think they would have been perfect at that. I think that this is like, yeah, this is a Frank Capra movie that the Coen Brothers are trying to do, but I think they also don't want to commit to the sad ending that they set up. Like they want to do the It's a Wonderful Life-ness of it ending without setting up in the beginning of It's a Wonderful Life what they are able to do at the end of it. They want to just give you that fantastical scapegoat out of committing to killing Tim Robbins. And I think Tim Robbins is good. I don't think he's great. I agree with Boat. It's better if Tom Hanks is in the part because I kind of actually almost disagree on the dope bit. I think he's a good dopey guy. I buy him more as the sleazeball, but I do think he's not awful as the dopey dude. Paul Newman's good. I think he's a little out of place at times.
That's really good, John. That's really good.
But no, I think this one is like technically a really well-made movie. Like the production design and the cinematography of this movie are fantastic. And I like the idea of the Coen Brothers trying to make a 40 screwball Capra-esque comedy. But I think they missed the mark on it. I think the only thing worth watching in it really is Jennifer Jason Leigh. This is the first sort of miss they have in their career. I liked it more on rewatch, not because I still don't think it like works, but it's like in the canon of their films, it ranks bottom 3 for me. Like it missed, but it's an enjoyable movie, but it's just it doesn't hit like the things they made before and most of the things they make after. Though I do think it's a little bit more redeemable than I made it out to be the first time I watched it.
Yeah, I like this movie, but it's definitely towards the bottom of my Coen Brothers ranking. In a way, it kind of feels like them trying to be their most mainstream up to this point by just making a straight comedy. And that feels weird for the movie we got. Yeah, I agree with everyone. I don't think Tim Robbins is that memorable as the lead of Norville. I think he's a little forgettable. This movie is completely saved by Jennifer Jason Leigh and Paul Newman. I do think they are giving great performances. But yeah, I just think the whole like nature and like the tone of this movie, I think it has some weird tonal shifts that don't entirely work, which is weird because I think the Coen Brothers usually really excel at those tonal shifts. So yeah, if I were to be honest, this definitely would rank towards the bottom, like lower tier, personally.
David Huddleston is the guy who throws us out a window, right? Throws us out a window. Am I right?
I think so. Yeah.
I think the Big Lebowski is the one that chucks himself out a window at the start.
Yes.
Because he's really good in the one scene where he throws himself out a window.
said Hudsucker is super underrated. Yeah, not amazing.
Yeah,
but
this
he
is the
liked it a lot.
I thought this was the one that Spence really liked.
Yeah, that Spence is gonna hate me because I would put it at C.
Okay,
I will
no,
back-
it's not David Huddleston. It's
Oh.
Charles Durning.
Charles Darning. Okay, they're very similar. They're very
They
similar.
are- they are-
You're not wrong.
I can't get past it.
I will back pace it up. I think this is a low C. I will spare it D because I think Jennifer Jason Leigh is really good.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yes, yeah, I agree. I think this is a C for me as well.
I would say C.
Okay. We were all in agreement. But
And
then,
All right, everyone, here we go. We put this next one at S. We move right along. All right.
yeah, just put it in S and I'll get yeah.
Perfect. Yeah,
Honestly, yeah, S. This is masterpiece right here.
Oh,
It's-
geez.
S tier for sure. Yeah.
This is where I start like my fingers and like toes curl as we hear the Fargo accent start.
Oh, you
To
like
give context to this channel, I live an hour north of Fargo. I live in this movie. I live with these people every day.
You live even more north of them, so you know it's serious.
Oh, for sure, you betcha.
I just love it. I love it.
Cameron, why don't you start us off? You haven't, been able to input for any of the.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Everybody seems to love this movie, and I completely agree. It's a masterpiece for me. Just all of the Coen brothers, what they've been building, works perfectly together here, I think. Just how they're able to balance the light and the dark. They've definitely done that previously, but I think up to this point, it's done the best so far in their career. And I don't know, it just meshes perfectly together. I just love the Fargo accents, and Frances McDormand is amazing. Like, she's always really good, but this is where she gets to really ham it up. And it's a showier performance, but not in a fake way. Like, it still feels genuine and authentic for the Coen brothers. So it's just amazing. I completely love it. And this is the whole reason why I love the Fargo, Minnesota, up north accent so much.
I can teach you how to do it. It's very easy.
Yeah. I want to take your class. How much you charge?
I'll teach a master class someday about how to do that.
Yes,
How to be
yes.
how to be a true Minnesotan.
I'll be the first to sign up.
You're the first person I know who wants to like come here. Life's where we are. Everyone else wants to get the hell out.
I love it. Like, yeah, they seem so nice, but they take out all their
we are.
anger in hockey.
Oh,
That's
dude,
how they do it.
Hockey up here is vicious. That's not a sport. That's ritual combat. But
Yeah.
The Gophers. Oh, the Gophers are on
The way
TV.
of life.
This one's great. It's another one of their simple plan gone wrong. Everyone's great in this movie. Peter Stormare and Steve Buscemi just back and forth great, but William H. Mason, man. Like, Frances McDormand, obviously one of the greatest performances of all time. But William H. Mason, he is so good because he has like such a tough role. Because he has to be like just unlikable enough, right? And just likable enough. It's like a very difficult space to navigate, and he pulls it off perfectly. Because you kind of have to, like, you want him to lose, but you also can't hate him. And that's kind of the thing, and they pull it off brilliantly. That true coat, like that scene is great. There are just so many great little moments in this, and it's great because you're kind of seeing like both angles of the situation, because you're seeing Jerry trying to pull this off, and then you're seeing Marge trying to stop him. And I think the structure of this movie is great. It's just a fantastic film.
yeah, so I think it's real fitting that I get to go on a diatribe about Fargo on the Coen Brothers. So I think this is their truest masterpiece. I think they spent 4 movies prior getting away from where they're from. So when we get to this, it really feels like coming home for them to come back to Minnesota and make a movie. I think that's the thing that this movie has that none of their other movies really have, is they like a little, like, they make references to it in other places. And like A Serious Man, I think, is also set in Minnesota. But I think Fargo is like this makes you in a way proud to be a Minnesotan. This is the movie where like they get everything right. The attention to detail in this movie is incredible. Down to every single name, I promise you, is real. Every single name you've heard, there are big families named Lundegaard. There are big families named Knutson. There are big, like these are names you will hear up here. Nygaard in the show, that's one up here. Like, this is also the first time I'll make a quick detour here real quick. Whenever I watch the Coen Brothers through, I have what I call extra credit stops, where like along the way I stop and watch something they worked on that like gives context to something else. While Fargo, the TV show, happens later. Fargo, the TV show, the first season of Fargo is the only one I really stopped to watch because that's the one the Coens had a lot of influence on most. And it is the perfect sequel to Fargo you never knew you needed. It is just absolutely like ties into that first movie in little ways that is beautiful. All the characters, love it. So for me, the thing I love most about Fargo is the setting, obviously. But I think the attention to detail paid to where we go, because no one makes movies about us. No one. Because nothing happens up here. And I think the conceit of nothing happens up here, a lot can happen in the middle of nowhere. Is the incredible setup to tell a great story, and many great stories, you would think, on the TV show. But I think Fargo through and through has great characters, great performances, their best script. I think through and through, Fargo is a movie that like, if there was one movie that filmmakers were put on this earth to make, the Coens were put on here to make Fargo. That's the movie for them. And I think that comes down to just William H. Macy, who Jeffrey Rush should thank his lucky stars that the category frauded that man into supporting. Because I think if Macy goes into lead, it's a tight fight between Macy and Rush. I think he's incredible. There's like, to hone in on some of the little things, down to just how they taught people to do the dialogue and the accents, except for Gare and Carl, who are the outsiders all the way through. So when you hear them, they sound a little bit more menacing and a little bit more different than everyone else because they're not speaking with a Minnesotan accent. But then that also makes Jerry a little bit more friendly in contrast, because he does have the accent of everyone else you hear, which makes him a little less menacing. I think all the way through, down to just, what are you watching on TV? Oh, Gophers. Like, I think all the little things about it, just they get everything right. There's nothing wrong with Fargo to me. I think this is like a perfect movie. This is in my top 10 favorite movies of all time. So like, this is an all-timer for me. Donna McDormand's great. John Carroll Lynch is great. The contest about painting fucking birds on stamps, that's a thing we do. Like, it goes down and just ate dinner. Who's play goes down and hang out with his friends at McDonald's. Because there's nothing else to do here, guys. Hanging out at the McDonald's, that's a real thing. That is a real thing you do as a kid up here. So it's like, I think just everything to the littlest throwaway lines are just, and then this is one where obviously repetition comes back into play and they use it. So we're not a bank, Jerry. Using that multiple times is just great. The true coat, you're a bold-faced liar, fucking liar, is a great scene, great one-scene performance as well, which the Coen brothers have many of across their films. We'll get to my favorite one a little bit later in the episode. But I love this movie, and I'll let Payson talk about it because I know he loves this movie too.
I don't know about you. I still go and hang out at McDonald's when I have nights off. Like, I'll just get a nice meal, just hang out. No, but for real, this is my third favorite movie of all time. I adore every single aspect of this film. Frances McDormand is giving one of my favorite performances ever. It's my favorite performance to ever win an Oscar. I've heard some people. I know some friends that think that this was category fraud, that she should have been in supporting. I highly disagree. I think her and Macy are completely at odds through each other throughout the entire film. But yeah, like you said, William H. Macy is so creepy and so pathetic as Jerry. Like he wants to win, but like he wants to find some way to get an edge, but he never can. But they can never find enough to catch him. Buscemi and Stormare are perfect as the villains. Buscemi just never shutting up, while Stormare just has these very slow lines.
Pancake House.
Yeah, Pancake House. But you always have the feeling that he'll kill you at any moment. One of my favorite go ahead. Yeah.
Sorry. Bo and I are doing the Caleb telepathy thing.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay. One of my favorite ongoing bits of this movie is whenever they describe Carl, they're just like, "Oh, what do you look like?" "Oh, he's just kind of funny looking." Anything else? No, he's just kind of funny looking. Just when they're talking to the people that bang them, he's like, "Yeah, has an uncircumcised penis, kind of funny looking," and just everything there. I think the relationship between Marge and Norm is maybe my favorite relationship on screen. Like, I love their just dynamic so much. It's such a healthy portrayal of marriage and how Norm just wants to just support his wife and just wants to be a good husband. It's so sweet. It's like
and the way that is antithetical to the relationship that is between the London guards.
No, for real. I think it's barely over an hour and a half, and it flies by. Like, I've seen this movie more than... There are a few other movies I've seen as much as this one, just because it's so easy to rewatch. And it needs to be talked about. This movie's so funny. It is so funny. It's handling this dark subject matter, but just every single line. Just when Barge comes in to talk with Jerry, it's like, "All right, you'll have to excuse me. I'm carrying quite a load." It's so perfect. Everything that Buscemi says as Carl, like, "Man, what the fuck, man? I was banging that girl." Like, oh, I love this movie so much. I could keep going on. The score is beautiful. The shots are great. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. One of the best movies of all time. Should have won Best Picture, and yeah, I love it.
I don't mean to jump back in, but I also totally forgot to give some of the local stories about this movie for 5 seconds. This movie was shot in the town I live in, barely. Boat and I have driven past where they filmed. The only shots you can really pinpoint, the Paul Bunyan statue was not built outside of Brainerd. It doesn't exist. It was built outside of Grand Forks, North Dakota. So all the scenes where you see that statue was filmed outside of where I live, my hometown. And the wood chipper is actually in Fargo, North Dakota, in the visitor center. We have pictures of Boatman when he came up to visit at it. And it's really fucking funny because he looks just like Timothy Dalton in Hot Fuzz when he does that smile. He does that, and he's got a log on the foot in the wood chipper, and it's great. I don't know if you guys have any way to share that on your channel, but it's a good one. It's a good one.
And I will back Coho up. The TV show on FX is excellent. My personal favorite season is season 2, but season 1 is also such a great season as well. Great movie, great show.
Billy Bob Thornton is actually really good casting in season 1. Like,
fantastic.
It's just heightened his character persona, but it works so well.
Martin Freeman also is like a perfect modern day William H. Macy equivalent.
Yeah, he's really good too.
I don't have anything else to say. You guys have said everything, and this movie is great. And I haven't seen this since 2019. So I really need to rewatch it. Right now I have a 4.5, but it'll probably go up to 5 once I rewatch it. It's just been 3 years, so that's like my taste has changed so much, and I mean, I know.
So obviously,
strong B tier, guys.
I was gonna say it's obviously a D. This obviously is a D after how long
low D, right?
Yeah, this is low. Put it in S and put it above Barton Fink. That's the number one.
I'm due for a rewatch as well, but definitely S.
I watched that movie in December. Like, that's one of my it's not a Christmas movie, but I watch it every time it's winter around here because like I'm living inside the movie. So when I watch the movie, it's just nice to see what I'm feeling outside every day.
Hell frozen over.
Yes, you don't understand. Fargo, the winter of Fargo is 7 to 8 months out of it. There it is.
Wow, the turnaround on that is incredible.
Look at that.
I got it.
That is his face, but I wish we had the whole image. But that is the comparison shot.
Should have drew on a mustache.
And you know what? Ladies in the Iowa area.
In the Des Moines, Iowa area, Bowman is single, and he is a catch. Don't worry. Anyone from Purdue who wants to make the trek to Iowa, Bowman's
right there. I'm sorry, Bowman. I'm sorry.
Iowa. Do the people call it?
Hey,
Iowa?
the next movie's real good.
No. They call it Iowa. They call it Iowa. We call it hell. But
you're not allowed to make. I don't make jokes about Minnesota. You're not allowed to make jokes about Iowa.
That's fair.
Oh no.
Sorry, I visited it 3 times. I'm gonna be living in Iowa within like a year. So relax.
Yeah, then you can make.
I'm gonna be an Iowa State resident soon.
There's like a 6 months trial period because there are some people who move here just so they can make jokes about it and then leave. So we had 2 to 6 months period for
2
Iowa.
to 6 months of Iowa membership.
They pull up Bryan Cranston, if you will, in Seinfeld.
That's exactly the reference I was making. Yeah.
Deep cut, kinda, a little bit.
Sort of.
Yeah.
I haven't started yet. Can I start on this one?
Yeah, go ahead.
Mhm. Yep.
I love how you're like, yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, I didn't mean to just run over Matthew in that moment. I just like assumed that was the direction we were going.
Yeah, because we just Cameron started the last one, so
Yeah.
Boatman starting with you.
Yeah, Big Lebowski is a movie that has gotten better every time I've rewatched. This is just like the perfect kind of like anti-noir, I guess is what I would call it, because it like has this like underlying like noir style mystery, but it is about everything other than that. There is so much going on in this movie, and I kind of love how secondary the actual plot of this movie is to the movie. Like, yes, the plot is important, but also it isn't, because the characters are going to spend a whole lot of time bowling and arguing about like little things. Like, one of the most brilliant sequences in any movie could have been told in 2 sentences, right? Or 1 sentence, really. I think that guy with the same name as you should replace your rug. If Walter just said that is over. But no, the scene keeps going on, and Donnie comes in like, "What, dude? What rug?" And like, that rug really tied the room together, did it not? Just that conversation where
I am the walrus.
You're out of your element, Donnie, which is just great. I love the dynamic between between the dude Walter and Donnie. The way they interact off each other is great. John Goodman should have an Oscar for this role.
Yes, he should.
Legitimately have an Oscar for this. Jeff Bridges should also have an Oscar for this. Jeff Bridges is incredible. John Goodman is incredible. They are both just giving amazing performances in this movie.
This movie still floors me that it's Oscar-less and no nominations at all.
Really?
This is the second one in their filmography where I really feel like the setting is a character. Like, Fargo's setting really plays a huge part into that movie. I think The Big Lebowski does too, by making L.A. the setting, like not quite modern day LA, like 1991 LA, the setting, which I love. No, but I actually think it serves a real purpose by being recently period LA, because like they make a lot of references to Saddam Hussein and they plays it with repetition. I think that sort of like there's a lot of apathy in the early 90s that isn't necessarily present at the end of the 90s, where they are at. If you put it at the end of the 90s and talk about the apathy of the early 90s, I think that actually plays a lot into it. I think there's so many little like parts and pieces to this movie that don't get enough credit, but get talked about a lot. I think Sam Elliott does not get enough credit as the narrator of this movie. I think he's terrific. I think this, like, you could call me crazy. This is a top 5 Sam Elliott performance for me, and he's barely in it. This is a top 5 John Turturro performance for me. He's barely in it. He has maybe my favorite scene in the movie, where he just, you said it, man. Nobody fucks with the Jesus. Is one of my favorite scenes in the whole movie. He's a better ass, dude. John Goodman is my favorite character, maybe in a Coen Brothers movie in this. Like, I think Walter Sobchak is a top 3 Coen Brother character of all time. I think he's fantastic. I will also talk about the Big Lebowski, the actual titular Big Lebowski, David Huddleston, who is incredible, and Brandt, Philip Seymour Hoffman. The two of them are so fantastic, and this is the movie, I think, where repetition is done at its best in a Coen Brothers film. Down to just the way they keep repeating things over and over, whether it be I am the walrus, I am the walrus, and just that whole thing, or when he's just, are you employed, sir? Employed? Are you employed, sir? That, like, the way they use the repetition to just keep, this time not to unsettle you, but to make you laugh at how absurd everything is. And he's thorough, Jeffrey. Thorough. Like, I think every time they bring it's the way they say it, how they say it, and they say it at the same time, multiple ways. I love it. I think Brandt is great all the way through, where he keeps doing the where he's doing the little urban achievers, please don't touch that, and just keeps losing his train of thought while talking to the dude, down to just, I'll suck your cock for $1,000. But Brad can't watch. Though, which makes me think he's watched before, right? Like, there's so many weird things about this movie. John Polito
laugh and this full-on nostril laugh.
It's great. And John Polito has a great, just in and out one scene where, of course, I'm going to love it because he name drops Moorhead, Minnesota, which is an hour south of me. And, like, there's so many great, like, this is, like, a great mystery. Like, I think the Coen brothers don't get a lot of credit as mystery writers. They've only done it a couple times, and this is, like, maybe their most effective outing at it. I think both of their true, pure, this is a comedy movies deal with mysteries, and both of them are phenomenally dumb mysteries where it's not about who did it or why they did it. It's about the journey of what the fuck is happening while we try and figure out who did it. Boatman said it best. The three main characters, outstanding together. I think this is one. I think Carter Burwell still did the score on this one, but I think T-Bone Burnett was introduced to the gang on this one, and his musical choices in the soundtrack are incredible. What Condition My Condition is an incredible piece to use. Obviously, the alternate language version of Hotel California is iconic from this movie. The Tumbling Tumbleweeds at the beginning, while Sam Elliott gives one of my favorite monologues in movie history, where it's just, sometimes there's a man. I'm not going to call him man. It's a dude. And just down to the end where he's like, oh, hell, I done introduced him enough. I think there's so many great things in this movie. It's incredible. It is my second favorite Coen Brothers movie, right behind Fargo. It is my number 11 movie of all time. It's so close to being in the top 10 with it. This is an incredible movie.
I just wanted to bring up some comments in the live chat before we move on to page.
Have anything to
what
say
a shot
about
at
that
Boat.
Iowa shade?
I don't even know who Colin is, but
That's
he's
not
just
even
ended
Iowa.
Boatman's whole life.
Very personal against me when I there.
I was a bit far for nothing. What a
So,
shot, dude. Wow.
So to
Rolled for a guy named Colin. Like, dude, your name's Colin. I don't know if you have a lot to.
He likes coleslaw a little bit too much. That's one thing about him.
Coleslaw is just
That's actually a really interesting shot, actually.
coleslaw is just salad, but for Karens.
Coleslaw is just.
We better get off of Colin's comment, or else Colin's gonna die.
Albert said that the Big Lebowski was his first Coen Brothers movie, and it was super
Wow.
weird that it made him not want to seek out their other films.
I will say this is not a great first Coen Brother movie.
I would agree.
Yeah.
I think this is one that you give two Coen Brother movies to before you get here. Like, I think the 3-film run that they go on, starting with Fargo, ending with Oh Brother, is an incredible 3-film run. But I would never tell you to start with Big Lebowski. Like, Big Lebowski was not my first. No Country for Old Men was my first Coen Brother movie. I should
Yeah.
say.
Woo.
Yeah.
I think No Country is probably a good starter
I would
to
agree
give
with that.
you give you a taste, not a great look, but a taste. Fargo gets you indoctrinated into who they are, and once you have seen the two styles, you go to Big Lebowski, and you're good. And then you've seen the three best Coen Brothers movies. But
Colin, what was your first Coen Brothers movie, and why was it Lady Killers?
Okay, so 3 years
Colin
ago,
made one shot at you, and you're trying to bury the man. Leave him alone.
You don't take one shot. Colin, load up.
You shoot at the boat, you must not miss.
So
He opened a can of worms.
So 3 years ago, February 2019, I was in LA because I was doing a theater festival, and it was our last night, and we were taking a break in the hotel, and I went by myself to the hotel bar. Why? Because I made it a point that I wanted to get a White Russian because of how much I love this movie. This movie is the reason why I drink White Russians, even to this day. Yeah, this movie's hilarious. Just one of the most calming, like, comfort movies I have. I've personally never smoked any weed, but this movie gives me the vibes of it would probably go well with weed. But yeah,
The way you say weed.
weed.
You say weed. You say weed like someone who's still in youth group. Like,
Yes.
I'm worried they're putting him on the weed.
But yeah, Jeff Bridges is so perfect. Just born to play this part of just this slacker but like just trying to get through. John Goodman is just this ball of anger. I think one of the quintessential, like, if this person existed in real life, it would be awful to be around him, but watching him is the funniest thing in the world. Steve Buscemi is great as Donnie. Julianne Moore is so funny as Maud.
So good.
That introduction of her painting naked and just you like sex, Mr. Lebowski. Just so good. When I was young, I would often confuse David Huddleston with Daniel Huddleston from Les Miserables, and I finally realized, oh wait, those people are literally could not be farther alike.
They're decades in age apart. Yeah,
decades in age.
Same difference.
One of the funniest movie scenes of all time for me is just Donnie's death scene. Just this big shootout happens, and how does Donnie die? A heart attack. No, there's not much I can really say that hasn't been said. This movie is so funny, so hilarious, and kind of like dispels that narrative that like, oh, a comedy has to be like cheaply made. Like Roger Deakins is still shooting this as if he would shoot like a super artful drama, and I think that's really, really cool. And
every time they shoot bowling it's incredible.
Yeah.
Beautiful. This is why I've recently been bowling like every Wednesday, is because I'm such a big fan of this movie. But yeah, this movie's excellent.
You getting any turkeys over there?
Not that way. I'm struggling to get 100 in game.
He's still got the
Dude,
gutters up.
that's
Don't
more
worry.
my
He's still
level.
He's got the guardrails up.
That's me.
You got the like little metal slide you push the ball
he
down.
does.
Yep, you got it.
Yeah. I'll also say, because I saw John in the chat said are we doing the Jesus rolls today? That's the only extra credit Coen Brothers. That's the only extra credit Coen Brothers assignment I won't participate in. I will go through the whole like, oh, I'm gonna watch Crime Wave and Gambit and Bridge of Spies and Suburbicon. I watched the movies they wrote, not directed. I'll watch Fargo season 1. I can't. I watched the Jesus rolls once. It was the worst movie I saw in 2020. It's a terrible movie.
But for real, John Turturro as the Jesus, such a great bit role. So funny, so creepy, but like you can't help but love him. And then Philip Seymour Hoffman, rest in peace. So good. It makes me sad that this was the only movie they did together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
They could have went. Yeah, it could have been great.
You could blame your boy Paul Thomas the Hack Anderson.
I mean, I can't blame him too much.
Well,
Hey, you're the one that brought it up this time.
I did, but this time it was taking a cheap shot.
PTA's my boy.
But I'm right.
You.
Yeah, this was also my first Coen Brothers movie. So,
Wow.
I thought it was really funny, but like I didn't quite like get it yet. I guess, and now that I've seen more, I've only seen it once, so I don't like quite love it as much as you guys. I think it's a movie that grows on you, and I just haven't watched it enough times, but it's still really funny, and like there's a lot of just very memorable moments that you guys have already talked about. So, Cameron?
Yeah, there's not much more I need to add, but Jeff Bridges, this is one of 2 performances where he deserves an Oscar from the Coen Brothers. And Steve Buscemi, I think he's overlooked a lot in this movie, and it is a pretty subtle performance, but he's just great. Like, he'll be kind of off to the side, and he'll be like delicately drinking his beer, and it's hilarious. Like, just the little details like that, as well as the more bombastic elements that are in it too, just go so well together. It's really great. And Philip Seymour Hoffman, this is probably the most different performance I've seen from him compared to his other stuff he's done, but he's really good. He's great. So I love it too. That's everybody, right?
Yeah. I just want to bring up more live comments before Albert says Coen's does bowling scenes better than PTA.
I mean, it's his first movie, so I'm not going to deny that.
That punk Colin have anything else to say?
Colin has run away, I think.
I don't know if Colin's still
That's
here.
what I thought.
We scared him.
So with that, I'll start the bidding at S.
Yes.
Right ahead of behind Fargo, ahead of Barton Fink. That's right.
Highest A for me. It's very close to an S.
I'll agree with Coho. Head of Fargo behind Fargo.
Yeah, S is where I would go. Matthew, where would you go?
This would go A tier for me, but this is because like it's been since 2019 since I've seen it, and
Fair.
but I don't mind. Like you guys just love it so much, like just from the way you guys talk. But if we put it in S tier, I'm not gonna fight.
I think this is my most I would say it's probably in my 3 most quoted movies of all time.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, like it's like this, and then 2 obscure movies that have nothing to do with the topic tonight. Those we don't need to talk about.
Mm.
So, I think it's leaning S, but maybe below Fargo. Like is how it.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
that's
I would never
sounds
put
like-
this above Fargo. There was a time where I did because I watched The Big Lebowski more than
Mhm.
Fargo. But
So the
I would
funny
probably-
thing is, I just did the math. I was thinking Matthew was going to say B tier, and if he would have said B tier, it would have been an A tier.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But we got it into the S tier, so we did it.
Boom. E.
We'll take it.
John says
I can
talk
just-
shit about PTA again, and it's on site.
John, here's the thing, buddy. Here's the thing.
John, Coho's on crack when it comes to PTA. Okay?
Here's the thing.
I
Here's the
get it.
thing, John.
Oh no! Why did we start?
I've got a 7-foot giant named Thomas Scully on my side of this fight who will do all my fighting for me.
I have no fear of Thomas Scully.
Yeah,
John
you
has
do.
licorice
Don't lie to
pizza.
yourself.
No, I don't.
He'll
He
throw
can
it. Yeah.
step on you.
Jason would like that.
Sure.
Okay.
That's weird.
Hey!
Okay.
Moving on.
Can I start this one? I know
You just started the last one.
I know, but that's
It's up to Matthew, but I'd give it to him.
Fine.
this is my
Okay.
favorite Coen Brothers movie.
Okay,
This
go
is
for
my-
it. Bowman, I will allow it. If Coho, there's a one that you want to speak first later. Just
Sure,
say
that's fine.
something.
I'll jump in on a certain one later.
This
I think I know which one it is. I'll just.
this is my
Yeah,
favorite
Bowman,
Coen
go for it.
Brothers movie. I love this one. Brother Where Art Thou is a brilliant film. I love the setting. Coen Brothers are so comfortable in this era, the 20s, 30s. This is the 30s. This is great. I love the dynamics of the 3 main characters, right? You have George Clooney, who is kind of like if you took the Barton Fink archetype of the guy who thinks he's so much smarter than he is, and you kind of just turn him into a fast-talking sleazeball instead. I think that is so funny. Then you have John Turturro, who's a little bit more simplistic, but set in his ways and aggressive. And then you got Delmar, Tim Blake Nelson, who is just happy to be here. Just a proper use of your Tim Blake Nelson as just the relentlessly positive guy who he's an idiot, but he's a lovable idiot. Like he is so positive. One of the best scenes in the movie is after Turturro and Tim Blake Nelson get baptized, and Tim Blake Nelson says, "Oh, my sin's been washed away." Like that job I knocked over down to that Piggly Wiggly I knocked over down in Laredo. But you said you didn't rob that Piggly Wiggly, Delmar. Well, that was a lie, and that sin's been forgiven too. Like that. There are so many great little characters in this movie, right? You have John Goodman as Big Dan, the Bible salesman, right? But you also have Michael, I'm going to butcher his name, but Michael Badalucco as babyface George Nelson. Amazing. Like, he's in it for one scene and he's gone. Stephen Root's in this movie for like 2 scenes. Charles During, as previously mentioned, is great in this movie as Pappy O'Daniel. That's great. Ray McKinnon's in this movie as the campaign manager who is bona fide and marrying Holly Hunter, and he's great. Everyone in this movie is great. The movie looks gorgeous. Deacon's cinematography in this is just beautiful. I love this movie so much. This is my number 11 of all time. This is like just outside my top 10. Brilliant movie.
So the cinematography in this is literally innovative. Like Deacon's literally changed filmmaking to make it look this way. And also by use of visual effects that no one notices. Like the cows aren't real, guys. Like there's a lot of visual effects in this movie to make it look the way it does, and it's achieved very well. I think this is a good script. I think the Coen brothers do a really good job writing this one, directing this one. I like this one. I'm not as in love with it as most people. I think it's the 3rd of the 3 movie run that they go on, but I do enjoy it a lot. I think it's really funny. I think George Clooney is incredible in this one. It's not my favorite George Clooney performance in a Coen Brothers film, but it's my second. And I think he is another one. He's another one who the Coens pick him up here and they run with him multiple times. And every time he comes in, he is electric. He is so different. Clooney with the Coen brothers is a totally new actor from what he is in any other movie. And I think he shows that here as Ulysses. He's fantastic. And I think Tim Blake Nelson is great. I think John Turturro is good. I think he's actually the one that's lacking the most in this one, which is a bummer. Just because I think like if they'd let him be like, because this is also, I'm pretty sure, the last time he's worked with the Coen brothers, and it leaves a little to be desired to me. Where it's like if you could have given him a little bit more of a Barton Finky, Miller's Crossing like kind of role for him to play, I think he would have been able to crush that. I'm fine with what he did. I think he did a good job. I just think it's a little weird. But this whole movie is got a great soundtrack. It's incredibly made. This is, I believe, the first one that Carter Burwell did not work with the Coen brothers on the score for, because T-Bone Burnett composed the score. And I think it's a very, very fun score that matches the soundtrack. But obviously the music in this one's more important soundtrack wise than score wise. Which is, that's fine. The last one, like Big Lebowski, is also a little bit more soundtrack than score, but there's like a marriage between Burwell and Burnett on that one. Whereas like that's the beauty of this 3-film run. Burwell's score is the most important thing in the first one. There's a marriage on Big Lebowski, and it's all T-Bone Burnett in this one. Like I think that's like a great little musical trilogy. It's a good movie. I enjoyed it a lot.
Oh yeah, Brother's amazing. This movie is so much fun. This was my first Coen Brothers movie. We watched it in class freshman year when we were going over the Odyssey, and I really, really enjoyed it. This is my favorite George Clooney performance in a Coen Brothers movie. Maybe my favorite George Clooney performance ever. He is so funny as Everett McGill. Just wants his Dapper Dan, just cares so much about his hair. It's so funny. Tim Blake Nelson as Delmar is my favorite character. So dumb, but just so endearing. Like one of my favorite just facial shots in movies is when the sirens are all dancing around him, and Delmar is just like he's just so happy that he has the touch of a woman around him right there. And just John Goodman is so funny for like the little scene he's in. The Klansman scene, it does not get talked about enough, but that scene is so funny when the Klansman gets killed by the burning cross and how they save Tommy. But yeah, just great soundtrack. I think I'm kind of in the boat with Coho, where it's not my absolute favorite, but I do really, really like it, and it is a lot of fun.
Yeah, I really like this movie. I think it's just a really fun adventure, and I wish I had seen it a little, more recently to have more thoughts, because it's just, I remember loving it, and the soundtrack is great. I think this is another one of those movies where I watched within 2019. So just now that I've seen more of their films, I feel like it's maybe I'll like it even more. But
yeah, I watched it's weirdly enough, I watched this movie a lot when I was younger. My dad introduced this to us maybe too early on, but and I haven't seen it too recently, but the residual feeling that this movie gives me is I just love so many elements about it. George Clooney is just perfect in this, like perfectly cast. They kind of exaggerate his persona and make it perfectly fit for this movie. And they use him differently than we've seen in a lot of ways, and maybe even exaggerated more than in some of his other roles, but it's really well done. But Tim Blake Nelson, I just love anytime he collaborates with the Coen brothers. He's just such a great guy. I love him in everything, and he's really good in this, really memorable. And just the whole movie is really unique and memorable, and it's really cool how it's a take on the Odyssey, a really clear, creative vision taken from that. So, yeah, I really like it. Not much more to add that we've already said, but.
So I'll start the bidding if I may.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go S tier This is the best movie. Why would it be that? That would not make sense.
I'd go
Go.
A. High A.
This was like teetering on high A, low S. I would put it probably S below Barton Fink.
Matthew, you go first.
I have this in A, right underneath Raising Arizona.
Okay, so I'm the winning vote, right?
For S or
Vote, you're muted.
I'm not muted, but you should be able to.
he's giving you a look.
I know. If I vote correctly here,
Yes, yes.
me?
That's what I'm not. I'm not trying to say that part out loud, but yes.
okay, I will give it an S, and we will be putting it in S tier.
Where in S tier do we want to put it?
I will request if we can have it above Barton Fink.
That
I
would
would
be
love
nice.
it at the top. If we can just above Barton Fink is where.
I would agree with that. I would agree with that.
I
I think that's fair.
can live with that. I'm okay with that. Holtzman says, as great as he is, Tim Blake Nelson will never be.
So
better
what
than
happened? I'm
Tim
sorry.
Blake
I was.
We got Oh Brother Where Art Thou in there.
We got a brother with Boatman promising to hear me out on a film.
Oh, he's gonna. He didn't say shit. He ain't helping you on a serious man.
So I have plausible deniability, but yes, please.
Holtzman
Also, I
says it's
apologize.
the
I
same
have like a
spectrum.
lot of food. I've not eaten yet today, so I'm probably gonna be like eating while talking.
You're good. You're good.
Okay.
Oh boy,
Okay.
the man who wasn't there.
Alrighty. So I'm assuming I'm starting on this one.
Would you
because
like to
of the
start?
order.
I can start. Do we want to get back in order? You go
I
first.
mean, do we just want to start the order here and go? or
Yeah,
what?
just start with Goho, and then we
Go
can-
ahead.
All right, so I think this is one of two straight up misses that they have in their career. I think that there's a lot of good in this, but I think there's a lot of bad in this one. I think Deacon shoots as well. I think Billy Bob Thornton is okay in the lead role. I think he's actually probably the worst thing in the movie. I think this is Tony. I think Tony Shalhoub and John Polito steal the show. They're both outstanding. McDormand's good. I wish he was in it more. Scarlett Johansson's good. I wish he was in it less in the second half. I think all the way through, there's too many ideas and none of them work. Where like they're trying to set up a similar to Fargo situation of doing this illegal thing, or doing this thing that turns into an illegal thing that turns into like all this whole conspiracy of things falling out of control, and it lacks all the charm. It lacks all of the sort of heart. This is actually the coldest Coen Brothers movie where I really don't feel connected to anyone or anything in it. I'm sure that's probably the intention, but I think it's a poor choice on their part. I think this is Burwell's like most mess score. And then they inject some weirdness about aliens in there to just try, I think, to give a little extra Coen Brother weirdness. And there's just too much going on, and none of it is working, which is a bummer because on the whole, I think this movie could have been really cool to do a real straight up noir. And I just think it falls apart. So yeah, I think this is one of two real misses from the Coens.
Payson?
Yeah, this is one that I should love. Like, all the pieces seem like they're there. Like, they're going back to their noir roots. It's all in black and white. They're really trying to emulate the Hitchcock nature. But like Coho said, it's so cold. And it's just so dry and just kind of slow. Like, I think the pacing of this movie is kind of rough. Like, we talk about Fargo, how that movie just flies by. This one is a drag, and in a way, I get it. Like, it's not supposed to be as fast, but you feel the length of this movie. I do really like Frances McDormand in this movie. I wish she was in it more. Like Coho said, I'm not a fan of the Scarlett Johansson subplot. Obviously, it's creepy for a good reason, but that doesn't mean I really have to like it. I think Billy Bob Thornton is okay. I should love Billy Bob Thornton in the Coen Brothers movie more, which thankfully in the Fargo TV series we see how good he can be. But yeah, this is just one that just doesn't get there for me. I can't quite say it's awful because I have a legal obligation that I can't hate anything that James Gandolfini is in. But yeah, it just doesn't really work for me. Yeah.
I haven't seen Intolerable Cruelty and The Lady Killers, so at the moment, I would say this is the only Coen Brothers that I would say I don't like.
That is a fair assessment.
Yeah, I just feel like I was very uninterested throughout the entire film, and it was just kind of dry and like I think Billy Bob Thornton is okay. He does. I don't know. I just feel kind of like life sucking, kind of. Like I am very bored throughout the entire film. Tony Shalhoub is great though. I really like Tony Shalhoub as well. And you talked about McDormand. I think she's great. But yeah, I think it's supposed to be more nihilistic. I get, but they do that style much better in other movies.
They will do that much better in later films.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, boys. Here's another 3 that I didn't watch, but just because this has James Gandolfini in it, I'm gonna watch it eventually. But it's not very good reception so far.
Bowman?
I think I'm cutting out a little bit. Am I back?
You're cutting out a little.
You're back.
You're back.
For us.
All right, am I back? Okay.
Yeah.
So Man Who Wasn't There is, I like it because I like the noir style, and I think there are some really good things about it. I feel like I'm cutting out real bad. I'm gonna leave and come back if that's all right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's all right.
The suspense is killing me. Maybe it's his favorite Coen. We just don't know.
I can assure you that is not.
Hi. Okay, are we back to Man Who Wasn't There?
Oh, your other
yeah.
box was there for a second, but you're back.
Okay.
Okay, wait. Okay. Yeah, you're good.
Okay. So yeah, Man Who Wasn't There. This is them doing like a cool black and white noir, and I like that. I agree. Once like you get into like the second half of this, basically once Frances McDormand is no longer in this movie, I think the movie goes down. But I think there are a lot of good things in it. I stand by. Tony Shalhoub is incredible in this movie. He is like the best thing in it. He is great. He's really good. James Gandolfini's good. Frances McDormand's great. I like the style. I like a lot of the central mystery and plan. It's not perfect, but I don't think it's bad. I think it's like good.
Fair.
Just not great.
Do we want to start placements?
I will start the bidding at D tier.
I would go C tier.
I also have it in D tier.
I don't think there's anything redeeming enough in this one to put it up in the same tier as Hudsucker.
Like, I don't think this is an F tier at all, which is why we don't have that placement.
Right, I don't think there is an F tier, but I think that this is one where it's like we are definitely not in the. Oh my God, there's 2 of them. Please get rid of them, please.
Both we're placing it. Where would you place it?
C.
Okay, so we got 2 C's and 2 D's. What do we want to do? Stop.
Every time
I'm fine with D. I don't have a passionate opinion.
Yeah, I'm not super passionate. If Coho and Matt feel strongly about D, I would be okay putting it in D.
Okay.
That's D.
This is the only D tier I have, so I'm thinking.
Fair. I only have 1, but we'll get to that.
Even James isn't enough to take it up a tier, huh?
Mm-mm.
Okay,
Not really. He's not in the movie that much, actually.
So I start on, and yeah, he's really not. He's like in maybe like 5-10 minutes. Intolerable Cruelty. This is the Coens going for like a full romantic comedy, and to me, there's nothing really special about this one. You can really tell like their signature trademarks just aren't there that much. I think George Clooney is fine in this movie. I think Catherine Zeta-Jones is fine. I think Cedric the Entertainer really, really does not work. And the scenes he's in, I kind of wish they could have cut. I do really like Jeffrey Rush. If I can say one good thing about the movie, Jeffrey Rush is very, very good, and that's what kind of keeps it away from D. And I think the other thing that keeps it away from D is I wouldn't call it actively bad like I know some other people do. But this one, just for me, it just commits the sin of just being kind of unmemorable and doesn't really have, like, its own signature, like, style. And, yeah, that's why, to me, Intolerable Cruelty just doesn't really work as much.
I haven't seen this one, so
Bo?
This I think that this one is good. I don't think it's a bad movie. I think it kind of falls apart when it is trying to be a romantic comedy, but when it lets it be like Coen Brothers weirdness, it's fun. I stand by George Clooney's actually really funny in this. Like he's really good. I like Richard Jenkins in the few scenes he's in. There's a lot of great just kind of whenever it's kind of like a legal drama, that's actually a lot of fun. Like the actual like courtroom scenes are really, really good and real fun. Catherine Jones is solid. Jeffrey Rush though steals both the scenes he's in. He's great.
So I couldn't disagree with Payson on this one more. I think this has a lot of Coen Brother flavor to it. There's a lot of great repetition, a lot of great quick-witted Coen Brother dialogue. I think George Clooney and Catherine Zeta-Jones are incredible. I think Jeffrey Rush is the best part of the movie. I think this has a signature T-Bone Burnett soundtrack. While I can understand such the entertainer, I think every time they go into the big lawyer room with the boss is quintessential Coen. It's absolutely like that 90s Coen Brother feel. It's Miller's Crossing. It's Barton Fink. It's Hudsucker. All in that like scene. I love the cat and mouse who's going to get who about it. I actually would never describe this movie as a romantic comedy in any way, shape, or form. I think there's a movie about romance. It's a movie about romance, but it's not a rom-com. They're not trying to make a rom-com. I think that's the central conceit that people, the central fallacy that people have about this movie. I think it's, I was told it's like the worst. So I went in and I really liked it. I think this is a good Coen Brother movie. I think on the whole, I understand it not being memorable. It's like around my 10, 11, 12 Coen Brother range. It hovers right around there. I think it's a good movie. I think it's an overhated movie. And I think, honestly, in a way, it has a lot of Soderbergh-isms to this one. This is probably the most Soderbergh movie the Coens ever really gotten to doing. In that like early 2000s, it's almost like Oceans in a way, not like in style or even what they're doing, but in it's a heist of like legal documents. It's a grift. It's a grifter movie. It's a con movie in a way. And I think that's the way that people should have approached this movie and not a rom-com. Even though there's a sharp-looking George Clooney and a beautiful Catherine Zeta-Jones on the poster looking at each other longingly, that doesn't mean it's a romantic comedy. And that you can call that the marketing, you can call that audience misinterpretation, but I think Intolerable Cruelty is a good movie. And one that actually deserves another chance from a lot of people. But I think Jeffrey Rush in his 2 or 3 scenes is brilliant. Like, I wish Jeffrey Rush was in more Coen Brothers stuff besides this.
I would want to see a Coen Brothers Unsane.
Where do you guys want to rank this?
I'd say C.
I'd say C. I'd say it's C above Hudsucker.
Okay, I would say C as well.
Yeah, I'd say above Hudsucker.
I wouldn't, but I'm willing. Yeah, put it above Hudsucker. I'm not going to fight anyone.
It's like a high C, low B for me. It literally just comes down to, do I like this or Blood Simple more? And today I like Blood Simple more. So.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. We'll move on to Lady Killer.
Here we go.
Let's throw this shit in D and move on.
Yeah.
Honestly, yeah, I don't feel like we need to talk about this one. It's clearly their worst movie. You want to watch The Lady Killers? Watch the original.
Yeah.
When was the original made? Anyone got the year?
Like the 50s.
56.
Yeah.
56?
That's right. Yeah.
Okay.
So, who hasn't seen The Lady Killers?
I have not. Us too.
You two haven't. Okay, then both Pace and I can make this really quick. Tom Hanks is unfortunately miscast, though I think he would be good in a Coen Brothers movie. He's just not quite right for this. I think J.K. Simmons is great in his introduction to the Coens.
He's very good.
I think Irma P. Hall is the best thing in the movie. I think she's great. I think on the whole, though, this is a movie that just like doesn't work. It's I understand the Coens are like, hey, we want to do now that we've done Untitled, we want to actually do a heist movie. I think this is a movie where it's just filled with miscasted people. The Coen Brothers, I think, aren't the right directors to make a heist movie. Their attempt at doing the heist movie is like inherently making an anti-heist movie in a way. This just doesn't work for me at all.
This is one for me where the humor just doesn't work. I think Koho said everything about the cast. Everything with Marlon Wayans in this movie is kind of unfortunate. And I think most of the ways this movie handles race are also very unfortunate. That is all I will say. This is definitely their weakest one and one that I do not return to. Really.
Let's throw it in D, boys.
Yeah, put it in D.
All right, and I'm positive it's the bottom.
Yeah.
Let me.
Their only movie I personally would consider a bad movie.
I would agree. This is their only.
Would anyone put it in F if it was there? Just
No.
theoretically.
No, because J.K. Simmons exists.
Really,
Yeah. How could you put a movie in F with him?
The thing is, I don't think the Coen Brothers have ever made an F tier movie. I think the Lady Killers is the closest they've gotten,
Yeah.
but I still think there's a long jump from Lady Killers to
It's a
F.
D minus.
If I were to
There's
rank
not-
this
I don't
on
even think it's a
Letterboxd-
D minus. I
That's
think
fair.
this is just a solid D.
Yeah.
if I were to rank this on Letterboxd, it'd be like 2 stars.
It's
Exactly. It's like 2.5 for me.
Like not even close to 1.5. Like it's
Gotcha.
All right. Now let's talk.
Here we go.
All right. I can start with this. I wish I had rewatched it just because it's haven't seen it since 2019. My thoughts would be fresher, but this is just a masterpiece. I think it's just so well done and so well written. Deakins makes it look beautiful. Javier Bardem is Anton Chigurh is just one of the best casting ever. Probably one of my favorite performances, just like of all time. One, probably up there for sure. And I'm gonna let you guys speak more to it just because it's not as fresh in my memory. But yeah, this is just one of their best. So
Yeah, I don't know what I can say what people haven't already said just talking about this movie in general, but it really does live up to the pedestal people put it on, and I'm up right there with people on it. I think it's beautiful looking. The themes that they tackle are so interesting and subversive, and they just do it so well. And I like the comparison that we've made with like Big Lebowski on one end being light, Fargo in the middle, and then this is on the other end, kind of tackling that dark pit of I don't know, just like that deep dark pit, that pure evil side of things, and it's just incredibly done though. There's not really anything I can say negative about it, but yeah, I'll leave it there.
Yeah, if Blood Simple is like Coen's testing the waters and saying, hey, do we have the ability to do a Hitchcock-style movie? No Country for Old Men is going beyond that and being like, we're going to do the type of movie that Hitchcock would be making if he were alive and working today. Like, that's what No Country for Old Men feels like. It is using all these Hitchcockian principles of tension and just pushing them to the extremes that we have the ability to do in 2007. Like, it is such a brilliant movie. Javier Bardem, Anton Chigurh, is just one of the most terrifyingly inhuman villains of all time. Like, he is so dark. But really, and like Josh Brolin Llewellyn, like, he's the main character, but really I feel like the main character of the movie is Ed Tom Bell, right? Because it's really his struggle. It is him, like that monologue about stories about the old days really says so much, because really what this movie is about, right? This movie's a Western without being a Western, because it's about that kind of longing for those days where you had the simplistics, right? You had your good guy, you had your Gary Cooper and the white hat, and you had your bad guy in the black hat, and that was the movie, right? This is a movie about complexity. This is a movie about how there are no real simple answers. And that is what is so brilliant about it. And it's a character who feels out of his time and that he belonged in that earlier era. And this movie's brilliant.
The poster is incredible. Just look.
Oh, yeah, great poster. Great poster. I normally hate floating head posters. This is a great poster.
Yeah, I wouldn't put it
Roger-
in my bedroom staring at me at night, but
Fair.
Roger Deakins had an incredible 2007 where he shot this, and it's not the movie he should have won his Oscar for that year. Where he does this, and he does the assassination of Jesse James by the coward Robert Ford, which is an incredibly well shot movie. I think Carter Burwell's score in this is almost non-existent. And I think that's a great choice. So I think his score is good. I think it really exists. I think he wrote, maybe 10 minutes of score for this movie. Because I think one of the greatest feats ever, and it pisses me off that Bourne Ultimatum beat it in sound in both categories, but No Country for Old Men is one where the sound design of the film is just as important as the story you're watching. It is an incredible choice where the sound is so atmospheric. It creates tension more than anything else. I mean, Pace and I will talk about it. I think Javier Bardem is your favorite Best Supporting Actor winner of all time. He's my second. So I don't know.
I would probably say he's my favorite.
Yeah, he's my second. Like, I think he's incredible. He's my third favorite performance of all time in this movie.
Yeah.
My favorite movie, or my favorite scene in movie history, comes from this movie with "What's the most you ever lost in a coin toss." This movie is a perfect example of adaptation in film. I think that the way they translate this book to film in a way where it's capturing the themes, it's capturing the important scenes and moments and things that need to happen, and doing it in a way where it is so cinematic and so perfect for it. One of the weirdest, coolest things I have ever heard about it, I learned this year, which is that Woody Harrelson is playing his dad in this movie. His dad is a hitman who died in 1980 in real life. And so Woody Harrelson's character in the book is supposed to be based on his dad. So he's basically, that's meta casting to be playing his dad, which I think is really cool. I actually don't know if it's the exact same name or what, but I saw a thing where it was like he's playing his dad in No Country. Someone can fact check me, and I can totally atone for being an idiot if that's incorrect. I just regurgitated.
No, I've heard that, and I think you're correct, but
Okay.
I've heard that before.
Actually, no, I think it's because I think his dad was a criminal. I think he's
No, his dad was a hitman because his dad was involved in the Kennedy conspiracy.
Yep.
So yeah, no, I think you're right.
We all know who actually killed him, but yeah.
Well, we can't say it or else Bowman will do something. But what I'm saying is I think this movie is perfect. I think that when you rank the Coen brothers, I think there are 3 correct movies to put in your top 3, and anything else, I understand it's a favorite versus objective quality opinion then. But I think the 3 best movies they've ever made are Fargo, Big Lebowski, and No Country for Old Men. I think those are, pound for pound, the 3 greatest films that these 2 guys have sat down and made in their career. And I think this one is a super deserved one for them to win their director and picture Oscars for. They should have one for Fargo. If you want to call No Country the makeup, sure, but I think they earned it and deserve it. I think Llewellyn Moss might be one of my favorite character names in movie history. I think that Josh Brolin does not get enough credit for the part he plays in any Coen Brother movie. I think both of his Coen Brothers performances are terrific. I think Ed Tom Bell's monologue at the beginning and at the end are 2 of the greatest monologues put to film, where he just talks about the story of seeing his dad. He went on ahead. I think this movie is brilliant from start to end, where we enter into a window of Anton Chigurh's life, and then we leave it, and you are left shaken. You are left changed and deeply affected by it. It's an experience unlike any other you will see on film, and the Coen brothers really put you there. They are incredible, masterful directors, and No Country for Old Men is one of the easiest answers you can say when you say a great movie, one of the best from them, but it's a correct answer. And I think through and through, this movie lives up to it. This coin traveled all the way to 1980, and now it's here, and you have to call it. Heads or tails? I can't make that call for you. It's an incredible fucking scene.
This movie was watching this movie in high school was the reason why the Coen brothers became my favorite directors. Like, I adore this film with every single fiber of my being. Like co-host said, Javier Bardem winning Best Supporting Actor is my favorite supporting actor win of all time. This movie is a borderline monster movie. Like, you are watching a monster who is an unstoppable force. You cannot reason with him. He is there to do a job, and he will stop at nothing to complete that job, and he will take out anything in his way. And I think that is just incredible. And just, it is a cat and mouse game between Llewellyn and Anton. But I think even when you're watching it, I think you know Llewellyn doesn't stand a chance. Like, he can run as far as he can, but Anton is going to catch up with him at one point. I think an underrated scene, like one of the most underrated scenes in any Coen Brothers movie, is the hotel shootout, or the motel shootout. I apologize, but I just think that is that is such a great scene. And Tom Bell just being like this old soul who, like, the world is finally getting too dark for him, and like he's starting to realize like the darkness of society. Just that final line of "and then I woke up," and it just leaves you right there. Just proves how desolate this movie is. I think this is either their darkest or their second darkest movie. And I think it really just hammers home that nihilism, just how, like, yeah, we're kind of fucked as humanity, and just this is what it can go down to. But, like, this movie is just incredibly directed. One behind-the-scenes stories I've always loved, I think some people may know, but No Country for Old Men and There Will Be Blood were literally shooting in the same desert at the same time. And there's a scene where Javier Bardem is doing his final monologue at the end, where he's with the kids, and he's doing really well. He's doing a great take, and then just for some reason, some guy on a motorcycle just comes whizzing by, and apparently Javier Bardem just started cussing at him, and apparently the person whizzing by was Daniel Day-Lewis, who had just rapped "There Will Be Blood," and I just think that is just an insane, like, wow, all this talent in just this one small sector. But no, this movie's incredible.
That's crazy. Can't believe that.
I would go S tier. Shocker, but yeah.
S tier for sure.
Yeah, definitely. It's my favorite. So
that's totally fair.
I would also go S.
It's close with Fargo. But...
I would put it above Big Lebowski, below Fargo.
That's fair.
Above Big Lebowski, yes, that is the exact ranking I would go.
Okay.
Coho, do you? Coho, I think you're muted.
Oh, sorry. I would go below Big Lebowski. Ahead of him.
What do we want to flip it?
Heads or tails? I can't call it for you.
I'm good. Would we be okay to flip it for this, where it goes above?
I think that. Yeah, that works. That'll be easier than trying.
Wait, why are we tied? We have 5 of us.
No, we're gonna go S, but we're deciding.
Right, but did we all have different positions on where to put it?
I guess I would put it at the top. So.
Yeah, I would too. It's the top for me.
Okay, then I'm out. So it's either do we put it above Fargo or below Fargo, and then I would just say I would put it below Fargo. So then we put it below Fargo.
Okay, so it is below Fargo.
Yeah. That's the way I would do it. Where it's like if I'm the outnumbered one, then I'll just change my opinion between what you.
I was about to do a bit, but we will not do that bit.
Okay, let's go on to Burn After Reading then, which is their next in their filmography. Cameron, have you seen this one?
I have, yeah. There's only Yep. So, yeah, I saw this one pretty recently, and it is a lot of fun. I think that's one of the key elements about it. I think one of its strong points, and what the Coen brothers usually do a really good job with anyway, is its characters. It has a lot of really wild characters that I think it's just fun to bounce between them. I don't know if they're all equally strong, but I think Brad Pitt is hilarious. And John Malkovich, it's kind of a smaller part, but he's great. And he's kind of similar to how he usually may be, but I think it works really well here. And obviously Frances McDormand, she never disappoints. Like she's incredible here too. There's a lot of good gags that she has. But I don't know. I think by the end I just wasn't left with any much to work with. Like it's a really fun watch, but it didn't really stick with me or anything. And I don't know if it needed to, but for me to really like a movie, it has to have that edge to it. And this one didn't necessarily, but it was still a really good time.
This is another one of their kind of. Takes the idea of like simple plan and overcomplicates it to like 120%, which Coens are great at doing. And this one is fun. This doesn't hit top for me, but this one's good. Frances McDormand is incredible in this movie. She's great. Brad Pitt though. Brad Pitt steals every second he is. Just a lovable idiot. But you know what? That's what Coen Brothers are great at doing. They're great at making characters who are just the stupidest people on the planet, and also just the funny. Really, actually, that's kind of a thing with Coen Brothers, is that the smarter a character is, typically speaking, the more miserable they are. Like that's actually a funny thing. I just kind of realized. But yeah, movies has a great cast. Everything just goes kind of so much is happening and then nothing is happening, and I think that works for people a lot, but it also doesn't. And I'm one of the people that works for me a little less. This movie still, it is a good movie.
I love this one. This is just outside my top 5 Coen Brothers. I think it's brilliant. I think it's really, really, really hard to be really, really funny and make a movie with a winding mystery with so many different plot lines and so many characters and juggling. I think the ultimate punchline is that it doesn't mean anything. I think that is the ultimate punchline where none of it mattered, where you get so invested in all these people. And that's the thing. I get it. If you don't like the ending, then that's it. The whole movie's ruined for you, and I can't do anything for you. But for me, Burn After Reading may be one of the greatest gag films of all time. One of the best farces I've ever seen, where this entire movie has great performances, great characters, a great story that gets me hooked almost instantly of just this guy. I get hooked with John Malkovich, and then get brought into whatever McDormand and Pitt are doing, and I'm invested. And then Clooney gets involved, and I'm just like, how does this all fit together? And I'm so invested in going, and then when it crescendos and ends, and J.K. Simmons goes, so what happened? And like, took care of itself, sir. And he's like,
did we learn anything?
Did we learn anything? And I think that's just like,
Don't do it again.
I think that is the greatest way of ending it, where it's just there isn't a point, and there doesn't need to be a point to every movie. I think Burn After Reading is just the manifestation of fun on film. I think Brad Pitt is brilliant. He should have been nominated for an Oscar for this movie, but the Oscars hate comedy, and I don't get it. Because Brad Pitt is genius. He is the best thing in this movie. I think George Clooney is incredible in this movie and doesn't get enough credit for it. Where he's just like, well, she wanted this. I saw this, and I just, figured I could build that. Just builds this fucking thing in his garage. It's just a dildo going up and down on a pedal.
It is literally the Ass Pounder 5000 from It's Always Sunny. Like,
exactly. Exactly. And I think that's the thing where you go through and it's just constant, mile a minute funny. I would say after Big Lebowski, this is their funniest movie. Pound for pound, joke for joke, round for round. This is hysterical. There are no missed jokes. There's no missed opportunities. Going to the fucking Russians with this CD that you think has secrets on it, and it's just a dude's memoirs, and they're just like, we don't want this. It's great. Like, I think all the way through, this movie is a blast. It's pure adrenaline, pure fun. And I think this is the movie that the Coen brothers naturally needed to make after No Country for Old Men. Like, yeah. I think coming off of the depression that is No Country for Old Men and making it, I think making this a year later and it getting completely overlooked is heartbreaking, because I think this is the definition of one for us after making like 17 for you, where they're like they're like everything we do is for us, but we also are making things that are accessible to the fan base. And Burn After Reading is the one where it's like take it or leave it. Either you guys know it and you're with it, or you're not. And I'm totally okay with that because I was with it. I think it's a blast. I love Burn After Reading.
It is a very Coen Brothers ending, though.
Oh yeah.
No, this movie's a lot of fun. Like, this is such a funny movie, and I think it really just does come down to how funny this cast is. Brad Pitt and McDormand are the standouts to me. Pitt just so dumb, just so lovable. Like, I just want to hang out with this guy, even though like he's totally clueless. And McDormand just wanting to go on a date with George Clooney, and just Richard Jenkins like having just this like sad crush on her that she'll do anything for him. Malkovich is also great, doing the whole like creepy ass Malkovich thing. It's so funny that like I think this one and their next one are probably, if you are not into the Coen Brothers, Burn After Reading and A Serious Man are going to be the ones you hate, because this is the one where they are like there is really no point to them, and they're just and there's not. But for the Coen Brothers fans, they don't really need that. Like, and this is just sort of like just this insane adventure where you think something's going to happen, and then just at the end it's like, nope, nothing. And that's the punchline. Like, the twist is that it is one of the best examples of the twist is that there's no twist. Like, just all crescendos, and then it's just like, yep, that's it. J.K. Simmons is great. If you're not going to get Roger Deakins, Emmanuel Lubezki is a great second choice. And I think this movie is also very well shot. But no, this movie is very funny. I would not say it's their second funniest movie besides Big Lebowski, but I do really, really like it.
I will also say this is I always forget that Lubezki shot it, because this isn't a very flashily shot movie. This isn't like Lubezki. This is probably Lubezki's most understated work of his career. Where he's just, I'm just gonna shoot the movie because I don't know what to do with it. But like literally coming off of this, I think not long after, he does The Tree of Life and goes on just like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna go on the most bonkers run a cinematographer ever has in film. I do fucking Tree of Life, Gravity, Birdman, and The Revenant. I'm gonna take home 3 Oscars for it. Incredible, dude.
Yeah, no, I really love this one. It's one of my favorite Coen Brothers movies. Cast is great. I love Brad Pitt in this movie. I think like just his smile in that closet is just like will like stick in my mind.
He's great.
And I will need to rewatch The Big Lebowski, but right at this moment, I think it's the funniest Coen Brothers movie. But I just need to rewatch The Big Lebowski and then decide from there. But yeah, I just had so much fun with this film, and I think I haven't seen this since I don't remember when actually. I think this was also a 2019 watch for me. So yeah, gotta give it a rewatch for more thoughts. But I remember just having a blast, and I really liked everything from the movie. So
I would put this A above Raising Arizona.
I would too. That's exactly where I'd put it. Even though I like Blood Simple more, that's just because I love Blood Simple. But yeah, I would put it there.
I would go B.
I'd go B.
this is top of A, bottom S for me. So
Ooh, okay.
So
Does that make it mid A then?
does that make it? Well, I think that's A. Like that. Like if
Yeah.
he says that's top of A
I
for
think
him, and
that's-
we both said it's above Raising Arizona, then that's exactly where we have it. We have it at
Yeah.
the top of A also.
We have to have it above Raising Arizona.
Yes, we have to have it above Raising Arizona because it's my number 6 Coen Brothers movie.
We got 2 B's though.
We also have 2 B tiers. So
Yeah,
Right,
that's what I'm saying,
What I'm saying is that doesn't matter to me. The 3 of us voted top of A. So
Cameron,
Well,
is it
let's just do a quick
It is top of A for me, yeah.
okay?
yeah,
but
that's three top of
I
A's.
get that, and I get that. So it goes in A, but both me and Boatman also put it in B.
Mhm.
I think
you
if we're
lost, so go
outvoted,
fuck yourself. Like you lost.
It depends on how we want to
The
do
math
it. Whether
doesn't
it's
add anything
outvoted
to
and
this
it
to me.
can't,
That's just a you
or do
thing.
we want to do some kind of mix.
I mean,
where it-
I don't think it is. Like, democracy-wise, we literally
Let's
all
just
just
move
said top
on
of
to a
A.
serious.
All three of us just said top of A. So, like, I
That's
feel like that's majority rules.
That's
Yeah,
fine. Let's just move
It
on.
is
Okay.
We've been here 2
majority.
hours.
Okay,
All
well
right.
then we can move on to A Serious Man.
Boatman.
Yeah, this one is good, but it's also like a giant pill to swallow of a movie. Like, that's the biggest thing about it. Like, it is such a depressing movie in some aspects. While it's funny, like it is just depressing. Like, it is just the worst things happening. But like it's not an it is a movie with a lot of questions and zero answers. It's like that's the truth of it, right? That is their most nihilistic film, and for the Coen Brothers, that's saying something.
Go.
I think this movie is fine. I think at the end of the day, Stuhlar's good. I think that every time I watch it, I like it a little bit less. I don't really enjoy the plot. I don't really understand anything. I think it's a half-hearted attempt at kind of doing the Book of Job. I don't think it's actually working as well as it should or wants to. I don't know. This is one that I keep trying to give another chance to, and it just doesn't work for me. Which is the same case with another one that is super critically acclaimed by them coming up, where it's just that one just doesn't work as well for me as others. So yeah, this one's always just been like middle of the pack. It'll never be in my top 10 Coens. I think it's barely in my top 15 for them. It's fine. Like, it's a good movie. Like, it's well made. I don't love it.
We were talking earlier about how the Coen Brothers work as directors that, to me, improve on rewatch. This is 100% the poster child of that. When I first saw this movie, I thought it was fine. I was like, okay, that was a movie, kind of dark, but kind of funny, didn't really get what it was going for. Then I started listening to the Big Picture podcast, and I heard Sean Fennessy said this was his favorite, and I was like, wait, this is your favorite? What the fuck? And then I went back and watched it. Holy shit, does this movie work so much for me. This is hands down their darkest movie. I truly believe it. This is their most depressing movie. This is their most nihilistic movie. And like Boatman said, it's saying how it raises a ton of questions and gives you no answers. And and I think the reason why I didn't like it when I was younger is because I didn't realize that now that I'm older, that's life. Like, that is literally life. Is just life sucks. We're fucked. Get over it, and you got to move on with your life. Michael Stuhlbarg is so good at just this neurotic, like, trying to find answers, doesn't know why life is hitting him so hard, and at the end, like, no spoilers, it doesn't get better for him. Like, you get the call once again, like, hey, you know that tumor we thought you didn't have? Turns out you do have it, when he's been searching this whole time for something to believe in. It's just like, nope. The tornado at the end, one of my favorite final shots in movies, just this existential dread just coming towards the characters, and there's nothing really they can do. And I love how certain characters just sort of like smile at it, like, yeah, what are we supposed to do? This is the type of movie you make after you win a Best Picture, where you're just like, yeah, we've done everything, we can do whatever we want. And this, to me, is just them just making just putting every single idea they've ever had into one movie. I think Richard Kind is really underrated. I think the needle drop of Somebody to Love by Jefferson Starship, when you get the themes of the movie, makes such perfect sense, because throughout the whole movie, Larry's trying to find something to love, but he just can't find it. This movie works so well. Roger Deakins, once again, just shoots this in such a beautiful way, and I think it is nihilism to its absolute finest, and I couldn't have it any other way. This is one of my absolute favorites.
Yeah, this one just doesn't quite work with me, and I've been meaning to rewatch it just to see if it clicks again, because it's been a little bit. But yeah, I feel like the story didn't quite work and like just it is very depressing for sure,
Yeah.
and nihilistic, like you said. So yeah, unfortunately, I don't think it's a bad movie. But it doesn't work for me at least. So.
And for me, it's nice and easy. This is the last one I haven't seen. So what are our rankings, boys?
I'm gonna hurt Payson's feelings a little bit. I think this goes in C tier below Intolerable Cruelty for me.
Matthew, where do you go?
I have this in C tier. I haven't seen Intolerable Cruelty, so I can't say. I do have this above Hudsucker Proxy, but I can't say about Intolerable Cruelty where it would rank.
This isn't. But would you like to go first, or would you like me to go first?
I'll go. You know what? I feel like putting it in an S.
Yeah, it's an S tier.
Oh, you're just gonna give it to him. You're just gonna give it to him.
It's called a little thing called a deal. Not sure you
Quid
ever.
pro quo, I suppose.
Hey,
yeah,
Boat, how much money did he put in your Venmo for that one?
No money. You got old brother. Where art thou?
Where's old brother again? All right. So this is easy here. So my question is, Matthew, do we rank this tier list on a scale? Do we go up or do we go down? Because it's an S tier.
Mm-hmm. I think the S would probably bring it up more, but
so I would say, could I put it at the back of A tier?
I would accept a back of A tier.
Okay.
Yes. That's all I wanted when I came on. I was like, there's no way I'm getting a Serious Man in S tier. I just wanted it in A tier. I'm so happy. I'll take it.
That works.
I don't care about anything underneath it enough to be like, yeah, fuck you about having a Serious Man above it. Like, I don't care enough.
I mean, I put a Serious Man above Miller's Crossing if no one's going to fight me.
Christ. No, I will fight you on that one. I think Miller's Crossing is better.
Fair.
Don't push your luck.
I'm okay with bottom A, but I will not put it above.
Yeah,
fair.
I haven't even seen it, and I feel like it'd be wrong higher up, just compared to the other movies up there. But I need to watch it.
Okay. So the next one, then I start, right?
You're up. Yep.
I'm up.
True
All right,
Grit, baby.
True Grit is a banger. This movie's a lot of fun. I think them officially committing to do a Western. I love the Coen Brothers just trek through genres. Like, they just keep finding new genres to come and play with. And when they came to the Western, I was like, this is going to be fun. I think True Grit is one that I almost forget about in my Coen Brother ranking sometimes. Not because there's nothing memorable about it. It's just that I think I think if you had anything close to a sellout movie from the Coen Brothers, this would be it. I think this is their attempt at making a blockbuster. This is obviously their highest grosser. This was like their big money play movie, and it's good. Like, the fact that their blockbuster sellout is like a really good fun movie that's still super true to who they are is like a big thing. I think that Rooster Cogburn's great. I think Haley Steinfeld should have not been category frauded and been put in lead and given her Oscar, even though she's in supporting, and she should still win in supporting, because I think Haley Steinfeld's the best performance by a woman in 2010. I think she's incredible throughout, and she did it like when she was like, what, 11, 12?
Yeah, like 12.
Yeah, you hearing this, Albert?
Yeah,
She's a child. Like, she's a child, and she's the best actress of 2010. Like, she's incredible.
Hey, good job, Albert.
I think through and through, it's good. I enjoy it. There's little things like when Rooster's on the stand and he keeps having to change his story. He's just like, how'd you shoot him? How is he going to attack you when he's like 10 feet away in the campfire? And you're like, I love Rooster and the Coen's take on him a lot. I think Jeff Bridges is really good in the part. But yeah, on the whole, I think that this is one where like it's just a really fun, super big production Western that they got to do, and it's good. It doesn't stick with me as much as other ones, but I think it's good and it's a lot of fun.
This is one I wish I watched more. It's really good. I do think it's better than the original. Like, I don't think that it seemed like that was a hot take when it came out. I don't think that's really much of a hot take anymore. I think, is this the Coens' probably most commercial movie? Yes. It should show you how good of directors they are, that they can still make a movie this good. Jeff Bridges is great. I think this is kind of like the culmination of his dude character in a way. Haley Steinfeld, I totally agree, should have won Best Supporting Actress. I think it's a crime that Melissa Leo beat her. I think this is just a really good story, and I think that's sort of like what propels it. And I think all the like pieces are there for a great movie. There are a lot of other Coen Brothers movies I like more, but this one is still a really, really good movie.
I lied when I said The Big Lebowski was my first. This is my first actually because I watched it in theaters and I haven't seen it since, which means I don't really have anything to say about it. It's been way too long since I've seen it.
All right. I love this movie. I love True Grit. And yes, it is probably the most conventional of their work, but I just think it's so well done, and I'm a complete sucker for a really good Western, and they completely deliver there. Jeff Bridges, this is the other role he has with the Coen brothers where he's just amazing. Like, he's just as good as when he is as the dude, but it's kind of different but kind of the same, but it's just so well cast and he does it so well. Like, you can hardly understand anything he's saying, but it's just so perfect. Just like this, and it's amazing. Haley Steinfeld, Albert, I know you're listening. This is still the best performance she's ever had up to this point. She's incredible in it. I think it's her debut performance in a movie, right?
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, and yeah, she was amazing in it. Standout performance. Yeah, I agree. She should have won. And it's just a big, sweeping, epic Western. And they've taken a few different attempts with Westerns, kind of with different angles at it. And this is the standard look at it, but it's just so well done. And I just love it. I'm a sucker for it. Maybe a Hudsucker.
I really dig True Grit more than most people. I think part of that comes from the fact I've seen the original True Grit, and the original True Grit is not good. Like, it's really not.
And I couldn't go that far, but I get it. Like,
it has a different tone.
Here's the thing: the movie takes what is the first 20 minutes of the remake is the first hour of the original, and nothing really happens in that hour. It is a horribly paced film. The 2010s True Grit, perfect pacing. So many, like, it's people call it their most straightforward film, but you got like still a lot of weird stuff in here. Like, you got the bear guy scene, which is weird, but it's great. You've got Haley Steinfeld, who is playing this character as just like a cold, heartless person, even though she's like 12, and it's great. It's an incredible performance. Jeff Bridges is a bit more of a rougher take on Rooster Cogburn, and that's great. I think this film is just fantastic.
Okay.
Right.
So
I'd go A.
Here's the thing. Normally I would say B, but my issue is we put a serious man in A, and True Grit is better than a serious man. So I would have to put it in A over serious man.
We're not ranking based on that.
I am. I'm going to. I'm going to put it in A over serious man because it's better than serious man.
Okay, then I'll go D.
I'm highest A, top of A.
There's 3 in A.
But the D brings it down. Matthew, where
No, it doesn't. What is this
That's
bullshit
not-
that you keep? That's not how this works,
in
Mason.
charge of this show.
That's also
okay,
not how this works.
Matthew, how do we average all the rankings out?
No, it's a majority rules. That's how we've been doing it all night.
No, I'm asking the host.
It's how we've been doing it all night, yeah.
Like you said.
it's majority.
There you go.
Okay, fair.
I listened when Matthew set up the chat.
Do you want to? I mean, so that would bring it down in like the A tier. Where would you want to place it?
I think it's below Miller's.
I would say above a serious man.
I would put it below a serious man.
I would put it above a serious man, below Miller's.
I have it at the top of A.
Okay.
It's
Okay, let's just do it this way. Who would have it above A Serious Man?
3.
Okay.
Who would put it above Miller's Crossing?
Or that's 3 above A Serious Man. Who would have it below
Above
Miller's Crossing?
Above Miller.
No. You do it by movie. So you go
Oh,
now. Who
below-
would have it above
above.
Miller's Crossing?
Above.
Okay, so then it stays
Okay.
right where it is.
And
Okay, I think that's where it lays.
I think that's the most fair way about going about that. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Albert in the live chat saying Payson is trying to rig the
Yeah,
list.
he is. He
Cohen's
is.
trying to rig the list. You literally said I was about to vote B with you. I was about to do B tier
That's
with you.
not rigging the list. That is if. No, it's not, because I would say probably a B, but because you got A Serious
of
Man
how
by
we
doing
have
your
this.
bullshit deal with Boatman, I have to put it in A above A Serious Man because A Serious Man
Well,
should be
I
in
was
C
gonna
tier.
say, okay, I was gonna say if you wanted me to vote higher on a Hail Caesar, but I could have done that, but you didn't want that.
Okay, you guys like folk music? Well, Inside Llewyn Davis got a lot of folk music.
Payson, where you're starting.
Who starts this off?
Yeah, Inside Llewyn Davis is one I need to rewatch. I think it's a very good movie. I think it's going for a lot of things. I think when I first watched it, I didn't like it quite as much as I wished I did. It's one that's worth a rewatch. I do think John Goodman is very good. I think he's very underrated. Oscar Isaac giving kind of an interesting performance in the movie. I've seen this movie once, like 3 years ago, and I don't remember a ton of it, and I would like to come back to it. So I don't have a ton to say on this one.
This one I have just connected to. I saw this is another one of those where it's just like I haven't seen it since 2019, but it's just like stuck with me. So it's still my favorite of the Coen Brothers. I'll have to rewatch it again now that I've watched the 7 Coen Brothers movies in the past week. But just I think Oscar Isaac does an excellent job of making this very flawed character very compelling, and just like seeing his journey, and it just felt very relatable and felt very real for me. And I think Deakins, right? Did he shot this one?
No, this is Bruno Del Bono.
Oh, okay. I think the look.
I think this is the first one that Bruno Del Bono did for him.
Oh, okay, that's cool. Yeah, I mean, I think it looks great. I think the movie looks stunning, and great soundtrack too.
Yeah, I agree. The look to the film is, I think, the most different from me compared to the rest of the Coens that I've seen. And I also need to see it a second time. I saw it for the first time not too long ago, but I just don't think I connected with it. I saw where it was going, and I thought it was really interesting, but I have to see it again to really appreciate it. But it was doing the Coen kind of thing where it has some subversion, and it's kind of flowing with those themes with what it's trying to say. So I do really appreciate it, but to fully appreciate it and enjoy it, I'd need to see it again. But Oscar Isaac is doing a really unique performance, and yeah, John Goodman is definitely a standout. So yeah, gotta rewatch it, but it was pretty good.
Yeah, this one is solid. Great music, great kind of story of the cycle of the lack of success. There's a lot of things to love about it. It doesn't quite hit the upper echelon for me, but it's good.
Yeah, I'm kind of a poet. I like it. This is the other one that really doesn't hit for me. Like A Serious Man, I know people really love those two, and I just don't. I think they're good. I think Oscar Isaac's good. I think the music's great. I love Adam Driver in his like one small little cameo on Please Mr. Kennedy, which Please Mr. Kennedy was robbed of an Oscar nomination. But yeah, I think this is good. It's decent. I'd probably put it in B.
I go B as well.
I put it in.
I have an S. But
Oh yeah, I put it in B below Blood Simple.
Me too.
I would say B above Blood Simple.
I would go B above Blood Simple.
Okay. Then we'll put it above since
Yeah, because you had to put it above. This is the one where I want to talk first. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to get on my soapbox and make a case that no Coen Brothers film ever has been more fucked over by an incorrect marketing campaign than Hail Caesar. When you list this movie as a musical, as a whodunit kidnapping, as all this stuff, does the movie have all those? Yes, but that's not what this movie's about. What this movie is about a day in the life of Golden Age Hollywood. And to walk through classic Hollywood through the eyes of Eddie Mannix, a real-life Hollywood figure, and see the day-to-day operations of the studio and the stress that this one guy is under, I think is phenomenal. I adore this movie. I think this movie should have been nominated for so many Oscars in 2016, not just production design. Should have been nominated for picture. I think Alden Ehrenreich is incredible as Hobie Doyle. I think that is a terrific performance. George Clooney as Baird Whitlock, I think is his best performance in a Clooney or in a movie, but also in a Coen Brother movie. I think his performance in this is fantastic. Josh Brolin's giving his best in this one. Scarlett Johansson, her best in a Coen Brother movie. Tilda Swinton comes back, gives her best in a Coen Brother movie. McDormand is in it even for just a minute, and she's great, playing a film editor who gets her ascot stuck in the machine. I think it's a great visual gag. I think Channing Tatum and Jonah Hill even get to shine in their brief little... I think this movie is full of great characters, great comedy, and great performances, all through the eyes of the studio system. It's really a movie where the Coen Brothers are commenting on how the Hollywood film industry by setting it back then and how it worked back then and writing their golden age love letter to Hollywood, but also commenting on the studio system and like actors and what it's like to make movies and showing you really what it takes to do what they do, and putting their brand of just absurdist comedy on it. And I think it's fantastic. I think my personal favorite scene in a Coen Brothers movie, and my favorite one scene performance is Rodrigo Prieto not Rodrigo Prieto. His name is Roberto Picardo. Something like that. Rodrigo Prieto was nominated for cinematography in the same year for Silence. But yeah, I think his name is Robert Picardo. I think is his name. He is incredible. When they get all of the religious figureheads to talk about this movie, about the Christ, and Robert Picardo is the Jewish rabbi in the room, and he has some of the greatest dialogue in that entire thing where he's just like, what? God has a son and a collie? No, he's a bachelor, and he's very angry. And just down to just when they go around, just like, gentlemen, I would like your opinion. And they're just like, I really liked it. There's nothing here to offend a reasonable man. And then just gets him like, I have an opinion. Which is just like great for going around and around and around. Just have this guy just be like, nah, I don't care. I think it's an incredible movie. The most undervalued and overlooked Coen Brothers film. One of the best plots pound for pound throughout that I think no one really realizes. Every time this is for me what A Serious Man is for Payson. Every time I watch it, I think it gets even better on every watch. The little touches, the little details, which is what I think the Coen Brothers don't get enough credit for doing in most of their movies, is the details. Because it's not necessarily about the details, it's about the emotion, but they do both. I think Hail Caesar is an S-tier Coen Brother film. It's my number 4 Coen Brother film of all time. I think it's incredible.
Yeah, I really like this movie. I think it's a lot of fun. I kind of see where Ko was coming from, where I saw that first trailer, and this was one of my most anticipated movies of the year. And then when I saw the movie, I was like, okay, that's good. I want to watch it again. I think I owe it to Coho, because I know how much he loves this movie, to watch again, and I've heard from a lot of people that it does get better when you do rewatch this one. But yeah, it is a lot of fun. Alden Ehrenreich is excellent in this movie. Probably the only real time he has been excellent. It really is a shame that the "Would That It Were So Simple" was just ruined after this movie. Hearing that line, I'm like, oh, so this is what it felt like to be in the early 2000s when Austin Powers came out. I was just like I understood, just because you hear about Austin Powers and how just people ran that impression to the ground. Being a senior in high school and just hearing that line, I would say probably close to 6 times a day was kind of...
I need to know what fucking high school you went to.
Desert
Because
Vista.
my high school, I was the only one in my town who saw this movie.
We got an entire aisle. I say I saw this with 8 people, and it was kind of
Your
brutal.
experiences are so non-universal.
Where Hail Caesar has the amount of cultural like significance as Austin Powers. Like that's a world.
I would love to live in that world.
It was kind of brutal, but
I don't want Coen Brothers to be super quotable and successful. What are you
But yeah, George Clooney's really good. I agree with what you said. Tilda Swinton's very underrated. Channing Tatum is excellent. Like that, the No Dame scene is great. Yeah.
The fact that song wasn't on the Oscar shortlist.
Very, very good movie.
Yeah, that song should have been nominated, let alone be on the shortlist.
Yeah, for sure. This movie, this is the only one I rewatched because I knew how much Coho loved it, and I haven't seen it since theaters. So I was just like, all right, well, I gotta watch Hail Caesar for this, and it's great. It's a really fun movie, and I don't love it as much as Coho does, but I still think it's really entertaining. I think it was so simple. It's just like it was really funny, and it's like I still remembered it from back when it came out. And No Dames is just a outstanding musical number, and just there's so many great moments, like you said, in the room with all the religions, and just the communism aspect as well is great. Clooney, all the actors are at the top of their game. I think Tilda Swinton playing 2 roles is great. And
I'll also throw out. I think this is Carter Burwell's best score. Period. His score for this movie, I think, is incredible shit. Really great score, especially the 5 a.m. piece. I think is maybe the best singular piece in his entire discography. And then I also think Deacon's coming back on this one is like huge, because Deacon, this is the first time he worked with them since A Serious Man, since True Grit. And it's very much felt when he comes back, because this thing is gorgeous to look at.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna bring up Deacon's cinematography. It looks great. So
yeah, it is definitely one of the Coen's better looking movies to me too. It does look really not. The cinematography is just beautiful to look at. I do think, though, I'm still kind of poisoned by the fact that I saw it a long time ago when I still had the expectation that the trailer made me have. So I am very much due for a rewatch. But it is a great ensemble, Coen Brothers for sure. I do like the character work a lot more in this or maybe not a lot more, but I do like the ensemble character work more in this than in Burn After Reading. It's just there's so many memorable characters in it. Like we've said, Alden Ehrenreich is really great. He needs another really good role after this. Scarlett Johansson's great too. There's just a lot of great character moments and just moments in there. I think I'd need to rewatch it to see how well it all meshes together, because after my initial rewatch, I felt like I didn't end up with much, but I think that could have maybe just been because of the expectations that the marketing had and everything. But I think after rewatch, it could definitely go very high, because there's a lot of things I do love about it.
Yeah, I think Hail Caesar is like a great love letter to old Hollywood. Like, I just loved the first time I saw this movie, I was so hyped for it, and it didn't quite hit me, which is weird because I'm like, I love classic film. Second watch, absolutely I love this movie. I think that it is just so fun to watch this movie and like try to kind of figure out who's kind of supposed to be who. Like, Tatum's kind of doing like a Gene Kelly a little bit. I think that Alden Ehrenreich's kind of supposed to be Ricky Nelson. Just different things. Lawrence Lorenz could kind of be, Ray Fiennes could kind of be, maybe George Cukor, maybe William Wyler. There are just so many. It's just kind of fun to like play that game in your head. This movie's great. You kind of mentioned all the great scenes. It's super fantastic. I'll start the bidding. I'll go S.
I also would say S.
I would go B.
I would go B.
I would go A.
Yeah. So
Okay, so I
between the
think-
two, so
I
between
think
the
Cam is the deciding vote.
right, Cam's the deciding vote. So would you rather go S or would you go B? Is it closer to an S or a B?
I think that averages out to an A.
Or do we want to go to?
I listen to yourself.
Okay.
Do we wanna
Because
go
I've
to
only
A
seen it
too?
one time, it'd be closer to a B.
Okay, well, I'll switch my vote to an A. Cole, switch your vote to an A.
I'll switch my vote to an A. Let's put it in an
I
A.
think we'll
Let's
just
go.
in that case.
Yay!
I think we'll put it in A. I think we can.
I would put it above Burn After Reading, personally. But
I would also put it above Burn.
I would not.
I'm not mad about doing
Get
that.
out of here. Get out of here.
I
okay,
have
so that's
it.
3 above Burn.
Bo, you put it above Raising Arizona?
I'd put it above Burn After Reading.
I think it's a better ensemble.
Okay, so that's 3 for above Burn After Reading.
Like, if we can get Raising Arizona above Burn After Reading, I'll talk. But like, nah.
I mean, I think at this point we're done with that.
yeah,
So I would
exactly.
say
So I will put it above Burn After Reading. I was just responding to Payson, who was like, "Really?"
That's fair. That's fair.
So
Yeah,
we're all
I think we
set.
put it top of A then.
Okay.
Yeah, that was the 3 of us. So, boom. I'll live with that. 4
Hey,
spots
Cole.
higher than a serious man. I'll take it.
I just want to be clear, Koa. What was that about not rigging the list?
I didn't rig the list.
Yes,
At all.
you did.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did.
It's called diplomacy. I'm
Yeah,
willing to make decisions where
It's
it's
called
an S
cheese
to
in
an A.
it.
Yeah.
You rigged the list.
No, I didn't. I didn't rig the
Before
list.
we,
I
move
didn't
on,
change. I didn't actively go against the host and change how the show works, Payson.
I
Only you did
was
that today.
confused. I was confused.
No, oh, then why'd you do
are
it 6
not
times? We
confused.
clarified it back on
I was
Hudsucker, and you
confused.
still kept trying to do it, buddy.
What is this fucking gaslighting going on?
Or not
No,
gaslighting. There's
Gaslighting.
fucking video.
You're gaslighting.
Go back and watch the video at Hudsucker when we corrected you the first time, and you kept trying to do it.
I don't know. Okay, fine. Ballad of Buster Scruggs.
Colin said that he had never heard the coleslaw is a salad for Karen's steak, but it's a bad one.
I haven't either, but I'm willing to accept it.
Mm.
But he also mentioned that Inside Llewyn Davis is one of his favorites, but he hasn't seen most. He hasn't seen a lot of them. So
I could start with Ballad of Buster Scruggs. This is, of course, their anthology Western movie. I think there are 6 segments. I think 3 of them are excellent, and 3 of them are just kind of okay. I love the Buster Scruggs segment. I love the Liam Neeson segment, and I love the Tom Waits segment. The Tom Waits one is my favorite with Panning for Gold. And then the James Franco one's okay. The Zoe Kazan one's okay. And the last one, it really does suck. But the last one, with them all like in the carriage, is kind of the weakest one. But that is probably my personal opinion. But yeah, I think this one is a very unique. This is one I definitely appreciate more than I like. But yeah.
yeah, no, I mean, I really like each story. I think the first one is maybe the best one. I really like Buster Scruggs, and I think it's a great songs as well. Tim Blake Nelson just plays that character so well. Second one is all right. Liam Neeson, that's one of my favorites as well. I really like the meal ticket one. I think
Yeah.
I like how dark it gets too. I think
Mhm.
it's very well crafted. So yeah, and the rest I'm like I like them, but like I don't have a lot of love for all of them. So.
Yeah. I think this one has really grown on me over time, and I still have to see them again to really place where I feel what I feel about it, but I do really like this. I think it's really fun to kind of figure this out like it's a puzzle, because it kind of is, how each of the stories kind of in a way connect to each other, either thematically or something. There's some kind of connecting piece between them, and I think it's really interesting and well done, with just how different they seem, but there's still that connective tissue, thematically or otherwise. Buster Scruggs is amazing. I mean, it's Tim Blake Nelson just being the best guy. But they all have their memorable points in them, and I really like each story. There's not a story I dislike, so I just think it's really solid overall. Just really great Coen Western, really interesting too, and it's very different and creative. They're always changing it up, and it's cool how they can continue to change so much just in the Western genre too. It's fun to watch.
Yeah. I wanted to say I spent a lot of time in 2019 watching Coen Brothers filmography just because I watched the Ballad of Buster Scruggs actually.
I think this one it's an anthology movie, and every anthology movie is going to have the problem that there are always going to be some segments that overshadow others. I think the one that really brings the movie down is The Girl Who Waited, because it has kind of an awkward positioning, and it's so long. And that's the thing is, I don't think the last one, the one with the carriage, is actually a bad segment. The problem is it shouldn't have been the ender. It's an awful ending segment. I think it's a good segment. And that's honestly the biggest problem is I think the placement of the segments is off. And I think that's actually one of the biggest problems with this movie. But I think it's good. The titular segment is fantastic. The one with James Franco and Stephen Root is just super fun Coen Brothers goofiness, and I love that. And Meal Ticket's good. I like All Gold Canyon. I don't love it. Really, the only one that's bad, in my opinion, is Coen. That's the only one that doesn't work. Yeah.
Sorry. Okay. We're like right up on the wall. Anyway, I think that this is a good movie. One of the most crazy things I saw was waking up nomination morning and seeing it in adapted screenplay. I remember that was a crazy, that came out of nowhere nomination for them. I like this one. I don't love this one. I remember really liking it back then, and every time I've gone back to watch it since, I feel like I just kind of, I like certain pieces. I don't think an anthology movie is something that the Coen Brothers ever really needed to do. I think it actually, the anthology style sort of works to the detriment of what they're doing. I think they should have probably kept it a miniseries, but
I agree with that. Yeah.
but the anthology film, keeps them squarely in the world of film, and I'm okay with that. I think my favorite one probably is All Gold Canyon. I actually really do like that one. I think that one. I think Bruno Del Bono was snubbed of a cinematography nomination. I think this movie looks great. I think this movie sounds great. This is Carter Burwell's third best score for a Coen Brother film. I think the music he writes for this is fantastic. I really hate The Girl Who Got Rattled, like that, and that one being the longest one is. Yeah, The Girl Who Got Rattled is the worst one. It goes on way too long. Yeah. I wish that one wasn't in here as much as I like Zoe Kazan. If you took that one out, I think this movie goes up a full star for me. But for me, this is sitting probably the low end of the B tier for me. It's good, not great.
I would also go low end of B. So B.
I would put it in B. Yeah. Middle B, but B.
I'd put it the top of A, where we are right now. Honestly.
And Bo?
I'd put it B.
Okay, so.
Are you guys all lower than Blood Simple?
Yeah, I'd put it lower.
That's weaker than Blood Simple.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd put lower.
Okay. Bar in the live chat saying, "Whoa, Inside Llewyn Davis deserves more respect."
No one.
Okay, buddy.
Sorry, Bar, but
I have it in. It's my favorite. So.
I'm in a Serious Man's an S tier, but it's okay.
He also said that this being Ethan's last film is kind of wild too. At the moment, it is. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. That is the weird one for Ethan to walk away from.
Yeah.
It's like Ethan was like, you know what? I want to make one more Western and then say, fuck it, I'm done.
Let's move on to the one that Ethan didn't work on, The Tragedy of Macbeth. And I can go ahead and get started by... I like the movie. I don't love it because it's also dealing with Macbeth. It's dealing with Shakespearean dialogue, which can be tough to connect to and also understand. But the cinematography is stunning. Oh my god! And like just like this sets and stuff just look amazing. And the ensemble cast is also really good. Denzel Washington is amazing. McDormand, Catherine Hunter, my god, is she great? And I didn't quite feel the Coen brothers in this movie. and sometimes it's because of the writing and like they're not going to change Shakespeare, right? So I still like the movie, but just didn't quite love it. So, Cameron?
Yeah,
Plus, Karen.
this movie, I feel like it's very easy for people to see it as being pretentious just from its delivery, or yeah, the delivery of the lines, but just how the film looks and the feel to it. But I think Ethan is putting a very unique spin on the classic Shakespearean tale. I don't know if it works entirely for me, but I completely respect what he's trying to do. I think it's partly just me being stupid and not completely understanding everything. But yeah, the cinematography is very unique. It's very constraining how they decided to do it, but it's just so cool, so fascinating. The minimalism of it, but it looks beautiful at the same time in its simplicity and because it's in black and white. I don't think I could have seen this movie in color. It just wouldn't work. But yeah, I couldn't fully connect because I'm too dumb to understand the dialogue completely. I do want to see more Macbeth adaptions because I did I did read Macbeth in college and I understood it, but for some reason with how it was delivered here, I think maybe it was just sensory overload to the point where I couldn't understand it here, which is interesting. But I thought Frances McDormand was my favorite performance in the movie. She's just turning out all these great performances like it's nothing. But I thought Denzel Washington was all right, but I don't know. There was something about his performance that was off to me, and maybe it's just me, but I don't know if he was well cast for it, or it just seemed off to me for some reason. But yeah.
Andrew Barr saying he really loves this movie.
Cabin Hunter is incredible.
Yeah, she
and
is. Alex Hassel is also really great in this one.
I would agree.
Boat.
This one was really good. I agree that the Shakespearean dialogue takes a little bit to adjust. But I think Denzel is absolutely incredible in this movie, and he kind of leads everything else. Right? He is giving you so much. Like he is, you get the kind of royal humility at the beginning that turns into the pressure that turns into ambition, that turns into anger, that turns into fear. Like he's playing the gambit of everything that eventually turns into insanity, and he plays that super well. He just does everything in this movie. I think this is an incredible performance. This is my pick for best actor this year. I think he's my winner. He is that good. Just an absolutely stunning performance and a beautiful looking movie.
Yeah, I think this movie is really well made. I like it a lot. I think Joel Coen's work as a director is fantastic. I would agree for the most part that this is a very Coen brother movie, and that's because Joel didn't want to make it. Fun fact, he was not interested in making this movie either, but Frances McDormand wanted to make it, so he agreed to do it.
There's something ironic about your wife pressuring you to do a remake of Macbeth.
Right. I think Denzel is by far the best thing in the movie. He's incredible. The next best person would probably be Catherine Hunter to me. I think she's terrific. I like Banquo. I forget his name at the moment. He's a great performance as well. I think Corey Hawkins is great as well. I remember there was an early Oscar buzz for him that is completely dead. This movie is also, I remember we were like, this is going to win Best Picture back in like July, and this shit's not getting nominated in the morning. But I think cinematography wise, this is going to win. Sorry, dude. I hate to be that guy. I think Bruno Delbano doesn't have an Oscar, and this is the one that will probably win it for him, especially when Greg Fraser is making the Batman this year, and that looks great, and I can see him winning for that next year because the Batman franchise has a history of cinematography nominations. I can see him getting it. But I think this movie's really good. It's like watching an international feature to me because I don't. It took me a long time to equate myself to Shakespeare dialogue, which I think is the hurdle. From what I can tell, all Joel did on a writing level was restructure the story to make it shorter. He didn't change any of the dialogue, which is actually really interesting. I think the production design, the editing, the cinematography of it all on a technical level, this movie is fantastic. And I enjoy it. I've seen it twice. I don't know if I'll watch it again anytime soon. It's not one that I think I want to subject myself to a lot. But I think that there's also little things about it that do make this really Coen in a way. Like Stephen Root's entire scene is very Coen. That is a very Coen Brothers scene where he's just talking fast and being weird. And like that's probably the only thing in this movie that I would say is really Coen Brothers-y. So it's interesting to see this be Joel's solo breakout project. It's very them. And I do hope he and Ethan get to make another movie again soon. I would love to see another Coen Brothers movie. Or even if Ethan wanted to make a movie on his own, I'd love to see what Ethan on his own looks like. But yeah, I like it. I would probably put this at the bottom of A, top of B.
Yeah, I love this movie. I think this is such an just Joel Coen doing Shakespeare is such an interesting concept, and I'm very happy we got it. Anyone that knows the original Macbeth text knows this is kind of Macbeth abridged. Like, they definitely do cut out a lot, but I don't think that works to the film's detriment. I think Denzel is incredible. He's currently my number 2 for Best Actor. I think he is such a good King Macbeth. I think the rest of the cast is also incredible. I think Catherine Hunter is great as the witch is. I think this is a gorgeous film. I definitely think this is very, very good. I would probably go A tier.
I have it in B.
I would also go B.
B here as well.
I'm okay with it being B as long as it's the top of B.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say top of B.
I can live with that. I can live with it.
I would have it under Inside Llewyn Davis, but it's okay.
I'd have it at the bottom of B, but I'm fine with it at top.
Andrew Barr saying, fun fact, Macbeth contains the first recorded knock-knock joke.
Ooh, interesting.
That is so interesting. You were there for that on opening night, weren't you? Sorry, Bar, that was mean. I actually feel a little bit bad about that one. That came out of nowhere.
More people should have been there opening night, probably.
That's all of it, right?
Okay, great. Yeah, so we made it to the end of the tier list. For any audio listeners who might be listening to this later, at the bottom of the D tier, we have the Lady Killers, and then at the top is The Man Who Wasn't There. At the bottom of C is the Hudsucker Proxy, and at the top of C is Intolerable Cruelty. Bottom of B is the Ballad of Buster Scruggs. Then above that is Blood Simple. Above that is Inside Llewyn Davis, and then The Tragedy of Macbeth. At the bottom of A is A Serious Man. Then True Grit, Miller's Crossing, Raising Arizona, Burn After Reading, and Hail Caesar. And at the bottom of S, we have Barton Fink, Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? The Big Lebowski, No Country for Old Men, and at the top is Fargo.
Fargo's sticking it out.
I'm good with that.
One of the greatest films ever made. Of course, it's number one.
Mm-hmm.
So tomorrow at 8 a.m. or whenever the Oscar nominations come out, some of us will be live reacting to those nominations. Cool. So
ooh la la.
We have 2 different groups doing that. That's funny.
Yeah, that's fun.
I don't think we talked about that, but like Boat, Payson, and I think Scully and Doc are going to be there. I don't know if we're recording ours or not.
No,
we're just chilling. I
think we're just gonna get up and watch it.
Too early for me to be on.
Oh yeah, no. I will literally be. If I'm in, I'll be recording in my work outfit, giving like half asleep takes on the nominations. But
I'm waking up at 5:45.
God, you're insane. I'm waking up at 8 EST and then walking into the call at like 8:15 ESTs for the nominations at 8:18 EST.
And well, the tier list, the tier maker just crashed. So just right as we ended, but
perfect timing.
Nailed it.
And the next week we got Christopher Nolan ranking for a lot of people requested that. So
nice.
We'll be talking about that, and then great. Yeah. Well, hope you guys had fun.
This is a blast.
Yes. Thanks to our.
Thank you so much,
Matthew. Thank you, Matthew. This was great.
Yeah. Thanks to our multiplex friends for joining us here. It was a good time.
Absolutely. Yeah, if you guys aren't aware of us, if Matthew hasn't told you yet, there's a channel that we are all on called Multiplex Entertainment that I founded and Boat and I run, where we do movie trivia. We do shows like Fandom Fights, where it's like a specified kind of geek. General movies is Movie Warzone, which is Boat. And then we also do live shows every day of the week. We have something different actually going on like right now with a couple of friends who it's just movie trivia, but it's weird. And then every other Monday is Multiplex Miscellaneous, which I run, which is like a game show about anything but movies, music and geography and history and science and games and TV. It's all there. And then we also have Logged It, which is Tim Brokaw and Caleb Boatman's show, where they talk about movies of the week. Your List Sucks, which is Cody Newberry's show, which was a ranking show. And then we have Fan Zone Debate, all sorts of stuff. There's something for you if you're looking for it. So check out Multiplex Entertainment on YouTube. That's our plug.
Yep, and you'll get some RTFO people over there from time to time doing some trivia. So be on the lookout.
All of them happen to be on my faction.
This man's a good manager. We may drive you around the ball, but
Yeah.
Matthew, John, and Albert, 3 of the best guys on the team. I love them.
Oh yeah.
And for anyone else, we got new merch. For
Yeah,
Real
we
Ranked.
do.
Yeah,
Buy their shit.
Looking pretty
Albert
spicy.
made this. So shout out to Albert. Yeah, these are the designs, and great. We will end the show then.
Have a good night.
Bye.